Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive and save it. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night? Yeah, make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Nobody is coming to save you. Get up. Be your own hero.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind, where we threaten to brainwash you with learning to think for yourself. Here I am coming to you from live above the international fake station, right? 250 miles above your imagination, just floating around up here. Look at the beautiful blue marble earth right back here. You'll notice that the weather is stagnant right now. We have no winds, nothing going on. It's just like that for good. Okay. So, well, tonight, I wanted to go over just a couple of things before we're going to look at a debate that took place between a pastor and it was supposed to be a conversation between Austin Whitsitt and a pastor, which that kind of blows my mind that people that are supposedly shepherds of flocks within the Christian community have such denial about the very things that it says in their book of criteria. It's being supernaturally affected. They don't want to buy it. They don't want to look at it, but they're sitting there with a book that's a shitload of supernatural events that have taken place over a period of time. This blows me away. And I have to wonder, it goes right back to when I was a little kid, and I was, they said, Satan's very beguiling. And it's like, well, how do you know that Satan hasn't disguised himself as this church? And the more and more I look into it, the more right it looks like I was. So there's been in my comments a few things regarding Sean Hawkins and his cowardice. So this is the very last. I'm going to present this up here just so y'all can see. This is the email thread between Modern Day Debate and myself. I'm going to click over on that page so I can zoom it up a little bit and get it bigger so we can all see it. Let's see here. So as you see, it says, hello, James and company. I enjoy your platform. We went through the entire exchange. So he said, he's kept on about a map, model, and measurements. And I'm like, dude, it's a debate. I will bring what I bring. I can bring a map. That's not a problem, bro. That's not a problem. Because we all know here at Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind that every map was developed from a flat plane and eventually wrapped around a globe. He'll try to claim the globe. But either way, the thing was, when it finally got down to it, it's modern day debate right here. You can see it said, hi, David. I think Sean forgot to hit reply all. He said he doesn't need a partner, so I can set you up for another 2v2, but it sounds like Sean is uninterested. Okay. Because he had put, oh, damn it. Where am I at? Modern day debate. There we go. So he, see, this is where I had sent to him all the stuff that he said. My position is that a globe Earth is scientifically impossible for the following reasons. Fluid pressure system cannot exist without containment. Water will not conform to the outside of an object and assume the shape of the object. NASA is a fraudulent entity that provides fake green screen videos and models purported to be real. Globe Earth is a Luciferian inversion of reality. According to all observations and experiences, the Earth is a stationary level topographical plane contained within a dynamic fluid pressure system. Okay, so he went on from that, and when he declined that, I said, you know, we can set somebody up. And I was like, yeah, okay. I said, I cannot think of anyone right at the moment. The other party had initially agreed, but kept adding condition as a way of backing out. I apologize if I have wasted your time. I'm sure I'll reach out in the future to participate. I enjoy the channel. You may use me as an alternate for the FE side if someone should need a stand-in as well anytime. Once again, I apologize if I've wasted your time and keep doing so and keep on doing what you do. Cheers, Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind. And then he's in here backpedaling. Yeah, I added requirements. You know, it's their show. Right? If you want to point out, look, he doesn't have a map, you know, as if that matters or something. That's all well and good, Sean. That's all well and good, but you won't do that. So they pretty much lie to the man. He said that was the last thing. Don't lie to the man. Because I told him, I said, I never refused to bring anything at all. Sean's assumption that I refuse with absolutely no credible proof that I refuse is now claim in this to try to save faith. His face is what I meant. Sean refused the requirements of the platform to have a 2 versus 2. Don't lie to the man. Yes, that's in your own words, Sean. That's what you did. So I don't even want to hear about your irrelevant little ass anymore. You're a joke. I caught part of your pitiful stream a little while ago, and you're a fucking joke. Nobody should. I don't even know why you even bother. I don't even know why you bother. You're a horrible fucking excuse for a life form. So anyway, that's with that. Some of the comments, holy shit, some of the comments that I get from these clowns too, man. Had somebody say, why don't you take a sextant and sail to such and such and this, that, and the other and go to Antarctica? And I'm like, motherfucker, you gonna come up with some money? Huh? I mean, what you gonna foot the bill for this dumb shit? Why don't you fucking do it? Some of these guys, man, they're really something else. It's just blows me away. Just blows me away. So that's I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe some of the shit that they say. It's like, well, go ahead and get on a rocket ship. Oh, okay. I'll just go down to fucking TWA and buy a goddamn space ticket. Dumb fucks. Jesus Christ. It just blows me away. I was over on Zulu 1 a little while ago. He had a trivia game, and I guess I won. So that's pretty cool. I emailed Zulu 1 and let him know. You know, he had me email him. I guess I'm getting some kind of a prize or whatever. But next one's going to be on guns. I might show up for that one. I don't know. I might know a little bit about those things. We could find out. I don't know. So anyway, we're looking at a debate that or discussion that took place on the Jeranism's debate Debatism show. And it was Austin Whitsitt. Many of you know who he is. I hope, at least by now, many of you know who he is. And this guy had never heard of Will Duffy. And he is a pastor for the Agape Kingdom Fellowship. And I thought, okay, this ought to be pretty interesting. I was like, oh, wow. You're going to get spanked. Once I started watching, I thought McToon is going to spank you, young man. Big time. Anyway, let me go ahead and stop that and bring this up with no further ado. And I'll tell you what we'll do here real quick, though. Let me go through here and see who all I've got in my show here tonight. So let's see who we got. There's Ironton Auditor. Got Kevin DeShill, Lisa Marie Tattersall. We will come by this weekend, Lisa. Okay. Jehovah's daughter Barbara is with us. Good to see you, dear. Saddle Bum, Doug Moorer, Push Button 62, Bryce Beer, Chicago Cubby Bear. I saw you over in the game. Good competition. We got Ironton Auditor, of course. Darth Tater's in the chat, I see. And let's see, RPV 67, Stacy Jones. Let's see, I'm going up to the top. Oh, you guys have been in here playing along. Mental Pancakes is with us. Twilight Nights. Zulu One is with us as well. Boston Ray Mudflood. Let's see who else. That Yellow Spider guy. Boy, I got a good amount of people, and everybody's just piling in here. So this ought to be pretty fun. Let's see. Rasta Bear. What's going on, brother? McToon spanks himself. Yeah, he likes to. He's got a picture of Neil deGrasse Tyson all greased up in a leather thong. He likes to look at, play with his rocket ships and shit, his little toys in the background. A fucking child, I swear to God. Anyway, there's Austin Murphy. You're late. And Deborah Clark, good to see you. Black morbidly obese vegan trans feminist. Yes, thank you for showing up to make it. So we're inclusive. We're inclusive here. Very good. Look, you covered like so much inclusivity in one shot. This is how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you were only a lesbian too, that's a tax break and a half right there. I'm telling you right now. Anyway, let me get on with this thing.
And we're here, and we will introduce everybody. First, real quick, we've got Austin Whitsitt. Austin, say hello.
How's it going? This should be fun.
Should be fun. And we've got over here to my right, the pastor, Will Duffy. Pastor, how are you?
Pretty good. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. So go ahead, and I guess we could just start out by telling people why this conversation is happening. And you said you have about a 5-minute intro or something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of let everybody know who I am and how I got here. So my name is Will Duffy. I'm the pastor of Agape Kingdom Fellowship in Colorado. This discussion was originally supposed to be me and Dave Weiss, who is best known as Flat Earth Dave, but I believe he's traveling and couldn't make it. So Austin, thanks for stepping in. And if this conversation ends up not going well for you, go ahead and blame Dave for pawning me off on you. Okay?
Wow, that was awfully boastful to start. So when this goes south for you, Whitsitt, apparently this guy's never seen Austin Whitsitt before. So if this thing starts going south for you, you know, just go ahead and yell out that safe word, Whitsitt. Okay, Skippy.
I want to give a quick backstory of how I got here deep in the flat earth discussion. And here's just how deep I am in this rabbit hole. Last month, I traveled to Nashville for a flat earth debate. And while I was there, I ended up meeting Flat Earth Dave in the flesh.
Were you impressed?
Yes, it was a quick meeting. Now we didn't have a chance to converse, but at least we got to meet. And then I attended the debate, which was between two pastors, and that turned into quite a dumpster fire.
Cyanide 2020, south on a flat earth or a level topographical plane is all directions away from north. So all directions away from north are south. It's real simple.
Let me let me show one other picture here real quick.
Well, I get to see some more in here. Iron Horse, good to see you, my friend. The Nayikis is here with us as well. I saw somebody else pop in on me. Who else did I? Tiffany Vinci, typing like a fucking mad person in that trivia, man. She it was like me and her were like neck and neck on those answers, bro. That was crazy.
Sorry, guys, 1 second. There we go. Okay. I will figure out Zoom here. Okay.
Yeah, man, my wife was going, how in the hell is she typing so fast? And I goes, I know what she's doing. She's doing speech to text, man. So I hit my microphone. That was the only way I could compete because I got fat thumbs. I was on my phone, man. We're watching it on the TV and I'm using my phone. I'm like, fuck this, man. I'm going to use my speech.
So I took this picture from where I was sitting, and I took this picture right as things started to get heated. And I didn't notice it until recently, but right there, I believe that's Austin sitting in the front row of that debate. So I didn't realize we'd be meeting right now. So how did we get here? About 2.5 years ago, a friend of mine posted on Facebook something about flat Earth. And at the time, I didn't realize flat Earth was a real thing. So I figured she must be joking. But she kept posting about it. And so I decided to engage with her. And I quickly found out she was not joking. This was peculiar to me and intrigued me enough that someone would hold to a belief that I thought was obviously false. So I decided to inquire of her in an attempt to try and understand this behavior.
So your first response as a pastor that preaches from a book or a collection of books, that on the very first page, in the very first chapter, describes a flat earth as well as in other passages within the Bible, stamped out like clay beneath a seal, blah, 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 right? Why would you think that's weird? Don't you believe your own book, my friend? What kind of a pastor are you? Is there one of those little silly hats hidden underneath your hair? I could see you in one of those. Huh. Anyway.
And this led me pretty quickly down the rabbit hole of flat Earth. And I noticed two things in the beginning. First, there were a lot of highly technical scientific arguments being made on both sides, and I had no clue what they were talking about.
Good to see you, Melodome.
Newtonian physics, quantum mechanics, Einstein's theory of special relativity, gravity, electrostatics, atmospheric refraction, orbital mechanics. The list goes on and on. I know.
Do you know how many bong hits he just gave me right there? Holy shit, I heard gravity, refraction, parallax, all kinds of crazy shit there. I'm going to see if my grinder's got... Yeah, we're stoked. We're ready to go. Let's do it.
Next to nothing about any of that stuff. Just so you guys know, I spent the majority of my adult life in finance. So my time was spent studying economics, investing, taxes, and those types of things. But science, I barely passed high school science. And after graduating high school, never looked into it again. So
you did good with mathematics, but when they came up and said, you know, man, what we're observing in the universe is not matching what our formula for gravity. There's just not enough matter to make this make sense. So that means that they have dark matter. There must be dark matter. Not that, oh, our shit's wrong. No, it can't be wrong. It must mean that there's some invisible shit that we don't know about. So let's put that into perspective, right? You have a bank ledger. You've made three $60 deposits, right? That's going to be a total of $180, but your balance somehow shows $2 million. So what does that mean? Does that mean that your accounting was in error? No. What that means is that you have dark money. You have dark money in your account. See? It works.
I actually almost stopped getting into the whole shape of the earth debate because I didn't have a ton of extra time and I didn't want to have to.
Cyanide, yes, it is every direction opposite of north. Every direction. Okay? Even if you start out going southeast or even northeast, you're eventually going to end up going south. Okay? That's not by using a compass, because if you keep your north so that you keep going east or west, you're just going around in a big circle. Okay?
You have a good evening, sir.
All right. See you later, my friend. So that's how that works, man. It's either goes toward the bullseye or away from the bullseye or around in circles around the bullseye. It's all there is to it, man. It's real easy.
To get back into the science world and relearn science as a prerequisite just to be able to follow flat earth debates. But I was driving one day and I had an epiphany, and it was this. I teach my kids from a very young age the shapes of physical objects. Even as a baby, you know, they figure out which shape goes into which hole, right? And so the light bulb went off for me. You don't really need science if you're just simply trying to determine the shape of a physical object. A small child can tell you the difference between a ball or a sphere and something that's not a ball, a flat plane. And since this debate is really centered on the physical shape of the earth we live on, I concluded that I should be able to figure out the true shape of the earth without being a scientist or having any science background. So I decided at that moment to ignore all the other discussions that take place in this debate, including the size of the earth, whether or not the earth is spinning, how fast it's spinning.
And this idea of a disc, okay, this idea of a disc, right? Where the fuck does that even come from, right? Just because the circuits of our luminaries go in circles does not mean that the overall shape is a disc. For instance, have you ever seen a clock inside of a square frame? I believe that you have. I believe that everyone that's watching this right now has seen a clock in a square frame. But those hands of that clock still go in a radial pattern, don't they? So is it possible to have a circle within a square? Absolutely, 100%.
Size of the moon, how far away the moon is, what the moon is made of, how big the sun is, how far away the sun is, what exactly gravity is. Does gravity even exist? All that stuff. I told myself, I'm not getting into any of that. I'm not debating that stuff. I'm just going to stick with something very simple, the shape of our earth. So the bad news.
So don't use any science. Don't try to show that that's physically fucking impossible at all. Let's just go by some kind of a crackpot observation. And since we can't actually get a decent observation of the entire earth, we're going to have to pretend like we went out in space and fake it. Are you kidding me? Like this bullshit behind me right here. Like this do you think that really exists? That's some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard, man. Come on.
News is that I won't be able to have a scientific conversation with you that someone like Professor Dave could probably have with you. But the good news is that I'm not a jerk like Professor Dave. So the conversation should be much more enjoyable for everyone. The second thing I noticed soon after really looking into flat earth was that no real progress seemed to be happening as each side, the flat earth side and the globe side, had their respective arguments, and everyone just keeps making the same arguments. You guys remember Pong?
Wait a second here. So what would you say that the north is the center of a shapeless landmass plane that is the earth? It's the center of rotation of all other celestial objects within our realm. In other words, Polaris and the magnetic north line right the fuck up, right? Okay. So everything goes around in a radial pattern. but things don't have to be on a radial object in order to go in a radial pattern. You understand? This is an assumption. Don't go by assumptions.
That's what it's like. Globe proponents say boats disappear over the horizon. Flat earthers respond, well, we bring the boats back when we zoom in. Well, boats disappear over the horizon, but we bring the boats back in when we zoom in. Flat earthers say, you can't have gas pressure without a container. Globe people respond, but you can't have a gradient in a closed system. But you can't have gas pressure without a container. But you can't have a gradient in a closed system.
Yes, you can have a gradient in a closed system. In fact, there's always a gradient in a closed system of fluid. Stop acting like the fucking Earth's air is like a spray paint can. It's only 14.7 psi. That's not much. Fill a tire up with 14.7 psi and see how far that gets you. It's not that much pressure. And it's due to displacement of the medium. Okay? These people don't understand internal pressure with external pressure readings.
You know how this goes. The NASA photos are real. NASA admits to photoshopping their images. But the NASA photos are real. But they admit to photoshopping their images. This is what it's like ad nauseum. Flat earthers take pictures out of the window of an airplane and they say, see, look, it's flat. But then the globe proponents, they also take pictures out the window on the plane and they claim, I see a curve. So I don't see a curve, I see a curve. But I don't see a curve, but I see a curve. For an outside observer, it gets pretty boring quickly because, and it's almost a bit frustrating, honestly. So I decided I was going to avoid these arguments as well, which seemed to be at a bit of a stalemate, and see if I couldn't move.
Prove it. Cyanide, prove that. Prove that the pressure of a gas inside of a container is uniform throughout. You know what you're going to have to do that, right? Have you ever had a propane tank? Did you know they have to roll scuba tanks after they've been sitting for a while so that somebody doesn't get fucking nitrogen poisoning, right? You realize that, don't you? No? You don't understand that?
Move the needle, help move the conversation forward instead of the back and forth game that seemed to have no end. So after 2 full years of taking in as much content as I could find from both sides, flat earth and globe, I finally decided to put something out myself on the topic. Let me share that real fast. Okay.
If you didn't catch the other night when I had Martin on, we talked about that very thing right there, about a gradient, okay? Now, what kind of a gradient? What kind of a gradient is it? Well, that's right, a pressure gradient. So we notice that the word pressure precedes the word gradient. So this means we have to have the pressure in order to have the gradient, correct? Right. Okay. So where's that pressure coming from? It can't be its own source. Think. Look at the definition for pressure. The act of pressing. Yes. You got temperature. All kinds of fucking variations that take place within that whole fucking dynamic fluid pressure system. So there's an interesting word that needs to be explored. So if you don't know what dynamic means, please look up the word dynamic, because the Earth is a stationary, level, topographical plane contained within a dynamic fluid pressure system. There it is.
So I put out this 3-part series on YouTube. It's called Irrefutable Proof We Live on a Globe and Not a Flat Earth. It's pretty easy to find on YouTube, on our Agape Kingdom Fellowship channel. And in these 3 videos, I cover 12 total topics. And here are the 12 topics. Let me share this, and this will be the last thing I got to share here. Okay, here they are. The first is the Himawari 9 Japanese weather satellite.
Oh my God. You're really going to invoke the Himawari? And this has been fucking already beat the fuck up. This has already been beat the fuck up, man.
The second is whether or not NASA photoshops their images. Then how there's no flat Earth map, and the Gleason map actually comes from a globe. Space is real.
Hold on a second. Wait a second. Howard, where was curve measured? While you're at that, looking for that, I want you to look up and understand what a black swan is. And I also want you to think about this very, very important question. Is the horizon that you see optical or physical? Okay.
Satellites are real, and I'm not talking about satelloons. Solar eclipses only make sense in the globe model. Lunar eclipses are only possible in the globe model.
Wrong.
The Apollo 8 mission and the pictures and videos they took. The ISS is real, and it's in space. Spacewalks happen in space, and they cannot happen underwater.
Entropy.
Southern Hemisphere flights, that's my personal favorite. And then water does not always find its level.
Is going on here. Somebody better tell these motherfuckers that have been using water levels for hundreds of years, thousands of years, that, hey, you know what? You're not really leveling anything. So you guys suck, right? Come on, man.
And Austin, I'll even let you choose which ones we talk about. The only one that I really want to make sure we cover before the night is over is Southern Hemisphere flights, as that's my favorite. I'm more than happy to hit all of these if you'd like. And before we start, I have a quick question for both of you. I will probably bring up the Titanic at some point tonight, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page regarding the Titanic. So it was a real boat, it really sunk, and it's really at the bottom of the ocean. Do we all agree on that?
I do not necessarily believe that,
Austin?
but I can give it to you.
sank. Yeah. It looks like something may have sank right after a science fiction book called The Wreck of the Titan was published about the same exact story.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's dive in. And I must say, you guys produce a ton of content. So Austin, I only had a chance to watch a few of your videos. Your videos are like 2 and 3 and 4 hours long. So it's hard to catch up on everything, but I will give you props for something. You definitely have the best opening in the flat Earth community, specifically the one with all of the dancing astronauts.
Thanks. Took forever to make that.
Yeah, I like it. So where do you want to start?
Let me just start off real quick, just because of what I wrote you in that text message that I didn't know you said until I watched your third video. So I'm guessing you got that from Dave McKeegan, but it was me that filmed the ISS.
Yes.
Okay, and I posted it on my channel.
I knew you posted it, but then I had heard you took it down.
Okay, but let's think about it real quick. Why would I post it? If I was trying to hide something from my audience, what sense does it make that I would film the ISS cross the sun? Wouldn't I just shelve it?
See, and I think this is very telling. Every one of these motherfuckers, instead of going, no, I think you're wrong on that, or you're mistaken because of such as you're lying. They always jump right to that. They jump right to it. Very telling.
So what sense does it make that you would say, oh, Jaron, he put it out and then he pulled it? And by the way, it's not off the internet. It's still on Odyssey. I pulled all my videos, but everything I've ever done is still on Odyssey. So it's not like it was singled out. It's not like it had a...
Yes, Deborah, he does. He has a YouTube channel, Whitsitt Gets It. If one of my moderators could put that link to Austin Whitsitt's channel, he does a show, a really good one called Schooling the Globers. You might like it. You might like it. So if one of my moderators can Okay, thank you, Barbara. Barbara says she's going to put the link in there for you. So yeah, good stuff.
That it was anything different to me than any of my other videos.
I
So-
didn't know the history, and so I did two things. One, I tried to find it on your channel and I couldn't find it. And I didn't know if maybe you did a live, and then after the live was uploaded to YouTube, then took it down.
No, it was just a regular uploaded video. But you know, you could have reached out to me if you wanted. Said, hey, did you pull that video? Why did you pull that video? I'm available. It doesn't have to be you make a video, because you basically made a video saying that, oh, this guy filmed it and he felt weird about it, so then he pulled it, which is just a made up story. So that's
I'm glad you corrected me on that. Thank you for telling me that. And I don't know if you'd be open to re-uploading it to your channel.
sure, and it's still on Odyssey, but I would gladly re-upload it to my channel.
Cool.
I
Yeah,
think
I've
people
never heard of Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, if you look in my description, it says all my past videos are there.
Yeah, see, a lot of people don't know about Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, and these other places because they're we know about it because of the fact that we get censored so much. We have to go to other platforms that don't fuck with us like YouTube and that don't try to rip us off like YouTube does. So we come here because it's a more popular platform because everybody knows about it. But as we work on it, we're going to get more and more people to understand that, hey, we can't really talk about the full fucking measure of truth here because the higher ups don't like it. So over here, we're able to, and over at this other place, we're able to. I know that when I was covering the Nashville event regarding a deletion of students at the supposedly at this school, halfway through my debunking of the video, YouTube cut me off, but it's still available on Rumble. Nobody took it down there, and it really shows you how you got psyoped. So if you get a chance, go over to my channel on Rumble and check it out, man. If you're not subscribed to my Rumble channel, please do. And also my backup channel, the link to my backup is in the description or in the on my page. So if you can get on over to that one. In fact, if I put, I don't think it will that way. Okay, yeah. There's Kevin C. What's happening, Kevin C? You're muted. You're muted, brother. All right, well, I'll go ahead and play until you get it going. Look at there we go. There we go. Let's have the dogs all.
But one of those things that I want people to see, because there's still some people in the community that say that it's not there or that something's fake. And for me, something is going on, period. I've seen it. So, I mean, that's where when you say that, it's like, no, I didn't pull it down. And my audience has never heard me say anything other than, yeah, I filmed it in front of the sun and the moon. I wanted to see both of them. I had to get a solar filter. I had to get up at 4 a.m. I had to do all that to see it, and was able to see it. So I just wanted to make sure you understood that nothing was pulled. There's nothing being hidden from anybody. There's not even videos that I can think of that were taken down then and then re-uploaded to my channel anyway. Because I said there's my kind of and Rockfin as well. So it's kind of like my archives are there. And then YouTube, because we get strikes whenever, it's sometimes you want to be a little careful about what's there. So anyway, wanted to put that out there, but good, glad that you recognize that. And Dave McKeegan knows, by the way. Dave McKeegan knows that. And I think you even said in your thing, you're like, oh, and he has some excuse of why.
Dave McKeegan's another one of those assholes, man. He's same type, man. Same type. These people are just dicks, you know? They can't just come forth and put out some information. They're just fucking dicks about it every time.
He took it down. So somebody told you the reason that I took it down.
No, I was just saying that you probably will have a reason for taking it down.
Gotcha.
Not that I had heard one.
Gotcha. All right. And then it's up to you, Austin, where you want to start with his list there.
Well, I do want to say one thing real fast. So, like, I find it weird that you said you looked into it for 2 years and you didn't care about all these things, all these claims that the globe model makes, and that you don't care about the size. That's the part I don't understand. If the claimed size of the Earth being a sphere is wrong, I don't have to even look at your list. You realize that, right?
Hey, Psycho Shaman, can you can you give me an example as to how the copyright claims are bad in comedy? just out of curiosity? I'd like to know it for comparison. Like, is Dave Chappelle like censored and maybe some other comedian not? Or, I mean, can you elaborate on that a little bit there, Psycho?
If the Earth isn't a sphere with that size, whole list is not even relevant. Like, what people always do is they don't go to the heart of it because they're afraid of what it might show them. And they come over here and tell me fairy tales about space. I can run right through your list, bro. I can take most of your list and turn them into geocentric evidences exclusively. But I'm just trying to understand, like, you agree that if the radius value of a sphere is falsified and it's not, Earth's not curving at that rate, then everything else that needs the Earth model at that size also is incorrect, right? It would be the most efficient way to do it.
That would be, everything would be exactly that, because it's all dependent. That's where they calculated the mass of the Earth was based on the R value. Where did you get the fucking R value? How did you get that, man? The horizon is different all the time, right? So based on what you believe, you have a diameter, right? But you don't have any proof of that because we see well beyond the physical limitations that a curve of 8 inches per mile squared would offer. There's no getting around that. You cannot see around corners. I don't care how powerful of a zoom lens you have, you're not going to see around a corner. And when you can bring in objects that should be well hidden, you don't get to just go, oh, it's refraction lifted that up 600 fucking feet in the air and made it look like it was right at eye level. That's the dumbest shit in the world. Come on, stop. But yeah, that would take, if you don't know the exact mass of the Earth, then you would have all your gravitational formulas fucked up and your orbital mechanics would be fucked up. And you just happen to have it exactly right. Come on, man.
Do it.
Yeah, all I can tell you, man, just because I don't have a scientific background, is I do believe the Earth is a sphere. I don't know the exact size of it, and I'm here to defend that it is a.
I believe the Earth is a sphere. That's a tight little thing to say. That's a tight that phrasing. I like that. I believe. Well, what's the middle three letters? What right in the middle of that word, right, is the word lie. What Frank Zappa said, belief is the enemy of knowing.
A sphere.
And since I had to mention Frank Zappa, I think I'm going to fire up a bowl with my friend Johnny, who joined me over here. He's sitting here off camera. He's stuck on the space toilet. He's got that vacuum space toilet. Johnny's been abusing the space toilet up here, so we have to keep an eye on him.
I actually had to open up the splash pan and let it fly through the splash pan. It got
The
full.
splash pan.
The splash pan. Open up the splash pan.
Fucking splash pan, right on.
Oh, cool. So I'm gonna be like real good faith and chill. I don't care to go through your list, but I do know the science, and I know that the Earth is not a sphere. I tested it. But I have a question for you, though. So I believe in the scriptures, right? And I know that this is not necessarily what this is about. We don't have to go back and forth on the scriptures. Obviously, the scriptures do not support a heliocentric model in any way, not even remotely close. Exactly the opposite. We have to claim it's all allegory, blah, blah, blah. But what I want to know is, do you think Jesus or Yeshua, the Messiah, came to the earth and he was constantly correcting the Pharisees and the Sadducees on their interpretations of the scriptures and telling them what the scriptures really meant? And he did not correct the Hebrew people who had misinterpreted the very beginning creation account. You don't think he ever thought to tell them, you have the whole creation account backwards. None of it's literal. It's not actually how the creator made anything. And you have your whole cosmology, your very understanding of where you exist wrong. So like, did the Messiah think Hebrew cosmology was true? Did he not? Did he just let them all misinterpret the creation account? I don't even know how that makes sense. So I'm curious what your take is on that.
Sure. A couple thoughts. Number one, and again, I don't think I really want to get into this, but I don't know. I haven't made a decision as to whether or not the Hebrew scriptures got cosmology wrong. So, for example, I have a message on our YouTube channel where I describe the firmament is possibly the crust of the earth in Genesis 1 and not a glass dome.
The firmament is the crust of the earth. I mean, doesn't it say, you know, like like molten glass? Don't we have that description? How is the crust of the earth like molten? This guy, I don't think he's a pastor at all. I think that listen, this is their newest tactic. This is their newest tactic. Taking these people that are they're fucking flat earth haters, and they pose them as certain people. And one of the recent tactics they've been using is, oh, I used to be a flat earther, but now I'm a glober. That doesn't fucking happen unless you're Joe Rogan and somebody offers you a podcast and a few $1 million. Okay. That's okay. So Sinai, yes, they did have glass. Okay. First off. Secondly, don't think these people were just stupid asses running around in togas and sandals. Okay. That's another bunch of shit. We can't even recreate the things that they built. So that's another thing. Molten glass doesn't mean that there was glass, does it now? And what biblical times are you talking about? Are you talking about in the Mosaic times, or are you talking about in the times of Christ? Because we got a long fucking bit of distance between those eras that encapsulate biblical times. Okay. In fact, we're still in biblical times in all reality. No, we build shit. We build shit, Cyanide. We build shit. They built things that have lasted for thousands of years, man.
Yeah.
And we don't even have any fucking way to recreate it. That's just, so don't even fool yourself with that. All right. So you also got to understand, does it say that it is molten glass? No, it doesn't say it is molten glass. It says like molten glass. Okay. We also have to understand, what does the word molten mean? Does that mean that it's red hot? Does that mean that it's glowing or something? No. In fact, did you know mercury is molten? It's a molten metal. It just has a very, very low temperature that it takes to melt it. Okay. So mercury is a molten metal. Okay. The term refers to something that's liquid, something that is fluid like that. Okay. So this is what in the English language is called a simile. This is why the word like molten glass was used and not the word is molten glass. You understand? This has been your free English lesson for the day. The next one will cost you $2,500. So don't make me have to teach you your language. What's happening, Kevin?
Not much. I finally got my sound figured out again. That damn thing goes crazy every time I wake up. But anyway, so they didn't have glass back in the biblical days. That was another question that I had in response to any of the biblical to flat earth or to the round earth BS that I've been hearing and been opposed to. And they talk about it as being glass, but they didn't have glass back then. They didn't make glass back then, did they?
Back when?
Back in the biblical days, back when Jesus was on the earth.
No, wait a second. We're talking about a span of time reaching back between over 5,000 years ago all the way up to just under 2,000 years ago. So are you telling me that in that entire 3,000 year stretch of time, nobody knew how to make glass or anything? They had never done it. They could make metal, right? They could melt and smelt various ores into metal and shit, right? But had no concept of glass. That's crap.
Well, they had to have had some concept, because when we've been hit with meteorites, they've had, that glass has been formed.
What? We've never been hit by a meteorite.
Well, all of the scientists saying that we've got meteors that have hit the earth, years ago that have caused the dinosaurs.
They say that lightning strikes will make glass too.
Oh yeah, that's
Lightning
true.
strike to hit the sand, all it is just molten silica.
Right.
So yeah, they knew about glass for a long time.
But they didn't like use it. They used pottery as opposed to glass.
So the scripture says like molten glass, right?
Right.
Okay. Doesn't say that it is molten glass. It says
Right.
that it's like molten glass. Well, what would something else be that was glass-like and has a molten nature to it? Water. Water does. That's
Heavy
right.
water, some kind of heavy water.
You know, or any water. It has,
Especially when it
you
freezes.
know, it's the same type of thing. In fact, a lot of people don't know this. Glass is actually a super cool liquid.
Yep, it's a liquid. It is.
Even when it's in its so-called solid form, it's a super cool liquid. This is why if you ever run across old windows in an old house and the window breaks, right, or even before it breaks or whatever, the window will rattle. Well, that's because the top of it will rattle. And you break one of those windows and try to get the glass out of the edges of the pane, they come out of the top real easy. You got to pull them up out of the bottom. They're wedged in there because they've sunk and run down into the crack over the course of 60, 70, 100 years.
Yeah.
And it looks all ripply. That's why it'll start looking all ripply when you're looking through an old window.
Yeah.
So one of the things they've done to stave that off is the tempering of glass process. The tempering the glass, which it hardens it more. And that's the same way as they do with metal by heating it to a temperature and then quenching it at a certain rate.
That brings the carbon to the surface, though. That does.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, they knew about glass, and nevertheless, what the fuck? Who cares? Water is not like molten glass. So it doesn't act like something molten. Molten things don't act like liquid. Cyanide, we just talked about similes, didn't we? Didn't we? Okay. And what two qualities do glass and water hold together? What do they both have? What do they both have? That's right. Transparency. Right? Transparency. So try to think and learn that these people spoke in a lot of metaphorical senses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, that's better. I feel better now. Thank you.
And I think that's a very valid take on that. The second thing is we don't have a record of everything that Jesus said. We have a record of very little of what he said. And so if he did address it, it's possible it didn't even make it into the New Testament.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have to talk about it, man. I would say that that's absolutely preposterous, and the firmament is stretched out like a tent over the earth. I also think it's crazy to suggest that the scriptures are true, but got cosmology wrong, which is about what the creator made. But we don't have to talk about the scriptures. It's all good.
Well, can we just mention the one thing
model.
about whether or not the earth is moving? Because I do think that that's important, that one model tells us that we're moving and the other model says that we are firm and can't be moved and will never be moved. So Will, you would just think we're
So it says he stopped the sun, right? Didn't it say in scripture that God stopped the sun for a period of time? So think about that. If that was because he stopped the earth from rotating, wouldn't you go flying, still going with the inertia of 1,000 miles an hour or whatever? Everything would be fucked up. Oh man, maybe he fucked everything all up. So what did he do, man? He stopped the sun, not the earth. It doesn't say he stopped the earth. It said he stopped the sun. So that's just another telling thing.
that the Bible says that we can't be moved for what reason? It's like allegory.
Yeah, there's so many figures of speech in the Bible. Definitely.
So how do we know when we can take something as literal. For instance,
Sure.
he says it numerous times over and over again. It's firm. It can't be moved. It's on foundations. It's on pillars. It's, has been established. So how do we know that that's just because science tells us something different, then we know it was allegory?
I was gonna say, how can this guy understand not what metaphors and similes, figures of speech, for Christ's sake, metaphors and similes, he says, and I'm like, wait a second, you don't really even understand anything about the basics of your own language, much less the scriptures as they are written. And one has to really delve into language and linguistics to actually get into it and understand it. And I just wonder how somebody can go on and be some kind of a pastor using a book that you can't barely read or understand. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we obviously have to take it in context. And then, yes, we also have to compare it to what we see as reality. Like, for example, the Bible says that the sun sets, and really neither model believes that the sun actually sets, right? And so I think that's a figure of speech, and I think both of us, even though we have differences of opinion, take what we believe is true and realize that is what that was meant, because that's what they observed.
Sure, and actual Hebrew says comes in and out. So when you actually go to the original language, it describes the earth going in and out away from us. But yeah, it's all good, man. I mean, the scriptures for sure describe a geocentric stationary topographical plane, firmament that's solid over top of it, holding the heavenly waters back. The gates opened, it was flooded, it was closed. The firmament was what held back the waters, right? And then we were shown a rainbow as a promise that he's not going to flood us again, because it's literally showing us that the firmament's still intact. It is for sure a specific cosmology. I guess one could say maybe they got cosmology wrong. And I'm not gonna keep going, because I would like to talk to you about it, maybe off the air, because but I'm just saying that makes absolutely no sense. It's preposterous. I don't think that twisting the scriptures is anything to mess with. And if you say they got cosmology wrong, you're saying that the Messiah came and also got it wrong. And I don't know, you may be like Jesus is God, or I don't know, but that just seems wild to me. So, but okay, let's just go to the conversation about the earth. I don't want to.
Well, let me ask one other question.
Just almost feel bad. That's a losing battle. You know, like it's a losing battle for you.
So the other question I have for him, though, is regards to you saying that there's certain things that will always answer it's fake, and you say that that's not a sufficient.
Yeah, I have to keep fucking muting this thing because you can't hang with the fucking bong, bro.
Hey, man, it's fucking,
Jesus Christ, man.
Every day, dude.
God damn. Okay.
Sorry, man.
Bye, Lisa.
Call me.
I'm sorry. I'm just tired of that bitch. After a fucking year of her little bullshit in my fucking chat, this Lisa broad, I'm just like, fuck you. Go away.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just done. All right.
Is she a nagger?
Oh, my God. Probably. Is this guy's name Will Duffy Stein? I mean, I can picture him coming up out of a fucking sewer grate. I'm serious, man. I can't see how he could actually read the Christian scriptures and even maintain such an idea. The other guy, at least, who was that fucking guy down in Tennessee, Locke. That guy, I understand that dude. He's a one of them jailhouse preacher dudes, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm real skeptical about this guy's being actually a pastor. I mean, I don't know. I'll have to look into him, but I mean,
what about Lil Wayne? You heard from him?
Who?
The dude claims to come back as Lil Wayne.
I don't know.
You just tell me about it. There's some dude on there. He said he was reincarnated and come back.
Oh no, not Rostevere. Yeah, no, he came back. He's Bob Marley.
Oh yeah, I got him crossed up. Yeah, Bob Marley, right?
Yeah, I can understand how you get John Wayne and Bob Marley mixed up.
For real?
Yeah, yeah, I do it all the time.
Potheads, right?
Right. Yeah,
that's what I thought. I don't know them that well. Just I know the names.
Locke has a demon in him or something. Yeah, absolutely.
Answer it's fake. So my question to you is evolution true?
I do not hold to evolution.
So what do you have to say about the people who teach evolution in school? Are they lying?
They might be convinced that it's the best, the best answer for what the evidence is. It could be that they are looking for something to hold on to other than a creative God. There's a lot of reasons.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
Very good answer.
Great answer.
Okay.
All right,
Okay, go
bro,
ahead.
let's just get into it, man. So like, I'm pretty chill, man. I'm pretty chill. We fall
Okay.
somewhere
Oh
at
my
the
God,
radio
yes.
show. You don't want to talk about that. It's okay. What?
Wait.
I got a screen.
He said Johnny is Clyde Burker.
Who said that?
Back there. Don't know if you guys remember him, but he would blow his top and cough like he was a dying. Yes, sir.
Who is that? Said
You,
that?
wouldn't you like to know who that is?
Come on,
It's
Dave.
somebody
Shit.
that's obviously somebody that knows you and knows Clyde Burker.
Come
So
on, man.
yeah, man. I don't know. You got to figure it out, man. We got a mystery. We got a
Yeah,
mystery.
shit.
We definitely got a
Somebody-
mystery.
Somebody would better mess with it a little bit, right?
So username redacted obviously knows Bunction here, right? And also somebody we both know. So I don't know. We got a
Yeah,
mystery.
you
I
know
wonder
Clyde
who
Burker?
that
You know
kid is.
Clyde
I knew
Burker?
Clyde
I
Burker.
didn't know
Yeah.
you knew.
Yeah, man. Clyde and
Yeah.
Glendora.
Yeah.
Yeah. His boy was working up there at Walmart for a number of years.
Artie
Yeah,
and
Artie,
Mom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Artie's married and got kids and
They-
shit now.
They took Bobby Cook's wife from him.
Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
she's pretty nicely made too, man.
Wow.
Yeah. No, Bobby Cook was devastated, man.
I'd
He's still
imagine.
devastated this day.
Well, I ain't going to get into town gossip. We got a
Oh,
show to
yeah,
do
yeah.
here. But anyway.
I hear you. Yeah. But you know who it is, right? You know
Yeah.
who the hell it is, you fucker. You.
Come on. That's-
Screenshot of your list here.
Okay, I can reshare it at any point if you need.
You want to? I know you're big on Southern Hemisphere flights. Happy to talk about them. Let's start off with satellites are real.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, cool. So do you want to say anything or you want me to just dive in?
Well, I want to ask you a question. A lot of flat earthers, they do typically say, verify that they're up there the way you guys claim. There are a bunch of satelloons that weren't fully declassified for a long time. Fact. Number one purchaser of helium in the world is NASA. Fact. I know all the apologist arguments from the other side, but I want to know if there are satellites up there, why can't that happen on a flat?
Sure. Let me tell you a quick story. It's a true story. And I think this will help you understand my issues with your position on satellites, which is that there are no satellites in space.
Not my position. That is not my position.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't believe in space as you define it. It defies the second law of thermodynamics. I don't see any problem with that. That's why I'm asking. Like,
okay, how about this? You don't believe there are satellites orbiting the Earth?
it orbit over top of the Earth.
Okay, you believe satellites are attached to balloons?
No, I don't think they have to be attached to balloons.
Okay, so this is good. I'm learning your position. So if a satellite is not attached to a balloon, how is it orbiting on top of the Earth?
There are many ways. Maybe it catches the ether drift.
Okay, who knows how to launch a satellite to catch an ether drift?
That's what the equations and physics literally account for. A real inertial force. They actually account for a stationary Earth, what's called an ECEF, Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate system. And they account for real ellipses, curved paths, which in your model, they're not curved paths. They're free-falling in a straight path through curved space-time. So from their perspective, they're not curved, but they account for them as if they are curved. So from a plain stationary Earth, it would just be an ellipse moving over top of us. And the physics equations account for an inertial force as if the universe is spinning around the stationary Earth. They also account for a change in velocity relative to the center of the ECI. It is a pretty technical subject, but
that's okay. What prevents them from falling?
They're riding the ether drift. I mean, that's a speculative answer.
Sure. Okay.
But it would make perfect sense. That's what the physics and equations say.
Okay.
Right? Like
I think there's over 2,000 balloons a day launched from Antarctica at different points that go up and give us all the weather fucking shit. Yeah, everything.
Is
man.
it 2,000?
Yeah, man. You
Wow.
can, this is verifiable. You can just go into Google, type in 2,000 balloons launched, boom, and it'll show you. I think the actual number is like 1,900 and something, but damn near 2,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right.
And this is where you get all your weather data, all the rest of that nasty shit from.
Right.
high altitude photographs, ISS shit.
Yeah.
So
You're
this is-
right.
this
You're
is
right,
kind of a-
Lisa,
this is
but
kind
you're
of
the
a
only
theory,
one I
a
censored.
possibility
You
at
see?
first.
Kind of like your model
Got
has a
yourself
theory
another
that
timeout.
space and time are physical and bend and warp, and that they're curving but not really curving, and they're free falling and changing direction perpetually around a ball. That's your model's theory, but your equations don't use that. Your equations use a real inertial force. It's typically a Newtonian mechanics and blah 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 blah.
Let's bring this down to something that everybody can understand. Here's a true story for you. The house I'm sitting in, we built. So we wanted to kind of get out of the city. So we bought some land. We wanted to live in the woods. So we bought some land, fully wooded, very tall evergreen trees, 30, 40, 50 feet tall. We built our house, we moved in, and one of the first things we wanted to do, my wife and I, is like, we need internet. So we called all the internet service providers, and they're like, we don't service your area. And we're like, what do you mean? We've never heard of not having internet. So we looked into it, and there is no internet where we live. So I found a guy, and he's like, I have a tower in your area. Let me come to your house. And so he came to our house, got on our roof. He put this like 20-foot tower on our roof. And he was like, dude, I have no line of sight to my tower. I'm sorry. He said, the only thing you're going to be able to do is satellite internet. And he's like, you're going to have to put a satellite dish on your roof and point it straight up to get through those trees. So Austin, what is satellite internet?
You didn't point it straight up.
Not straight up.
Yes. I just now said satellites are not exclusive to your model. I'm actually suggesting that they're the literal opposite of that, because the physics and equations account for a stationary Earth with the universe, the cosmos, spinning around it, creating an inward force of angular momentum, an inertial force. Your model claims there are no real inertial forces in space.
Okay,
There can't be. So I'm trying to explain to you that if there are satellites in the sky and the physics and equations that we are given as to how they get up there are real, it is actually evidence against the heliocentric model. It would be evidence of geocentricity.
Okay, but how does satellite internet work for somebody like me in my house in the woods?
Why would it work any differently?
Okay, let me try this. Let's say you and I want to go start a satellite internet company. Where would we start so that the people that sign up for our services actually get internet in their house?
I guess if you can actually do it, you would put satellites in the sky, and then you would debunk heliocentrism and hopefully make some money.
Yeah, but how would we learn how to get satellites up there so that everybody in all these different countries can have internet?
You would have to go learn the physics and equations of aerospace engineering, which are a stationary Earth with inertial forces and change in velocity relative to the center of the ECI. And you would actually say you wanted to integrate a GPS in there, right? So you can know distances.
So, Cyanide, do you think you could actually carry on a conversation with Whitsitt on this? Do you really think he doesn't know? This is the thing about quote unquote baller science, is that it's not science. It defies the most basic of fundamental physical laws. You see, that does.
Of places, you actually have to account for a change in the speed of light relative to direction, which is also impossible on your model. Satellites are not in any way good.
No, I don't Google. I've heard that if you do that too much, you go blind. So
Evidence for you. So I'm jumping out ahead for you. Number 5 is no good. You've never heard a flat earther say this. Rest assured, I know that, and I'm sure you've heard people.
Hey, Cyanide, there's a link pinned up in the chat right now. If you'd like to put that shit to the test, you're welcome to click that link and come up and test me out. We'll discuss some of your globe science, and I'll show you how it's not science at all.
We'll say balloons a lot, but I went and looked at it. It's not good for your side.
The problem is there's tens of millions of people in the world using satellite internet. And so when you have companies like HughesNet and Starlink, they all must be keeping this secret of knowing how to put a satellite into the ether, because they claim they're putting a satellite into orbit in space. So are they all lying?
That's what I'm trying to explain to you. They don't have to lie at all, because their actual physics and equations account for a real inertial force. So if there was an actual drift, if there was an ether drift spinning around, and there is a drift connected to the sky, it's been measured and verified literally millions of times. Whether you call it ether or not, speculation. But that would call it, just imagine you're in a giant whirlpool and it's spinning. You go throw a little toy boat in it, right? That is what the equations and physics that they use accounts for.
Stay off.
So they wouldn't be in on anything. They would design it as if there is a real inertial force drifting around the Earth around a geocentric stationary Earth, and you'd put it up there. And then, of course, you would just take a plain Earth, which would have ellipses. You would do a globe transform. You would just transform the coordinate system.
Mhm.
That's not a big deal at all. You would just have a globe transform. So the main point here is that the physics uses a stationary Earth with a real spinning universe with a real force. If there
And Ball, you're just butthurt because he blocked you from his channel because you act like an ass in his chat and shit. That's all. You know, I do that from time to time when people just start choking up shit with stupidness, you know, or finally just go, you know, get the fuck out of here, right?
they're up there, no one would be in on any secret or any lie or anything like that at all. They wouldn't have to. It's actually
Okay.
pretty brilliant.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. How fast do you think satellites are moving?
Good question, man. I don't have to make specific claims about the satellites. I'm just saying that ironically, if they are real, they cannot be working in your model. They cannot be going around a spinning
Nope.
Earth revolving around the sun. And I could get into all the technical analysis of it's all good. Let's just say you got to retire satellites or go. There is no rebuttal to this because technically there can be no circular paths in your model. That's Newtonian mechanics debunked by Michelson-Morley. You have to have a free fall and a geodesic path, curvature of spacetime, meaning simply the satellites have to be going straight, but only from an outside reference frame would they be curving because they're going through the curvature of space and time. That's what Einstein said. You replace Newton, who said an object will keep going straight unless an outside force acts on it. Your model cannot say that anymore. It was debunked in Michelson-Morley. Guess what they do with their physics and equations? They account for circular paths, for actual curved paths with an actual inertial force acting on them. Einstein says there is no force and that objects will curve in the geodesic of space-time. So, I know that you did basically like offer an olive branch of sorts that you're not going to know all the technical stuff, and that's fine. I'm just telling you that this is just a fact. How about this? I'll read a quote. You can think about it, and if you can just admit you don't know that much about it, then we can go. We can move on. But it can't be invoked as some type of exclusive evidence of the heliocentric model because
Not.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
their
arguing
job.
right now that satellites.
I figured this out. It's their job. Okay, because I don't spend any time over on people's channels that I don't agree with. I don't even want to watch I'm not interested in the content, right? But I find it that these people show up all over the place. The same fucking people every time. Same fucking people. Pretty sus, man. Pretty sus. Oh, incidentally, our good friend Martin hasn't said shit on Facebook since.
Satellites are
Yeah,
real,
it's really Lisa.
and people that have satellite internet are evidence that satellites are real. And then all I'm suggesting for the audience sake here, Austin, is that we can't find anybody that works for any of these companies that's involved in the development of the equipment that believes what you are saying. You and other flat earthers are the only ones that believe that the satellites are going into an ether under a dome. You won't be able to find anyone that believes that they all believe it's going into space and it's orbiting the Earth.
Okay, so basically you implied a straw man as if I'm saying the satellites don't exist again. That was what the script you thought I was going to say was, but I understand why a lot of flat earthers deny them, and I'm not even claiming that they're real because there are a lot of satelloons, and when Google gave internet to people in remote areas, guys.
I'm not playing Whitsitt stuff at all. M-ball. Am I going to have to time you out too? Or are you just going to sit here and say stupid shit? Or do you have actually anything to add to the conversation? If you don't have anything to add to the conversation, just shut the fuck up. Because you never do add anything. You just say stupid shit the whole time. The whole time this has ever gone. The whole time you're ever in any chat, you just say stupid shit. Do you get paid by the fucking chat comment or something? How does that work for you? Or are you just weird? I think it's a little of both.
That's what they use. They use balloons. It's called the Google Balloon Project in 2018. Why do we have tens of thousands of satellites and Google is not using them to give people internet? They're using balloons. And why does the military not let most average people know that there are tons of really high-tech balloons? They're putting thousands up all the time, catching them, replacing them. What? I don't care, because if there really are satellites, I think I've seen Starlink. I've seen.
You don't hang out on Whitsitt's channel, M-Ball, because he fucking blocked you. You are not unable to say your nonsensical horse shit in his chat anymore. So that's why you don't. It's not because of a choice. That's the only reason you left out of there, is because he banned your stupid ass. You're about to get fucking banned out of here too. You keep your stupidness up. I'm just tired of you fucking people, man.
In the ISS, I looked into getting Starlink satellite when I was in an RV. Hey, I have no problem with it, because it doesn't matter. And then you said an appeal to consensus. Everyone believes something. I don't care what everyone believes, bro. A lot of people used to think slavery was cool, man. I don't care what everyone believes. That's a fallacy. So I'm going to read the quote, bro. Okay. This is from a PhD. It's about the specific subjects.
Well, Madison Lee, that would all depend on the people. Okay. That would all depend on their whole thing. You want to come in and be a fucking asshole? I'll time you out. You want to come in and talk and have legitimate questions and shit to actually say? You won't get timed out. But if you act like an asshole, you'll get timed out. And if you keep acting like an asshole, then I block you. Okay? It's that simple. Real simple. In fact, there's only been one person timed out so far. So I don't know. If you're interested in how many people are going to get timed out, man, start taking account of it. I don't mind somebody coming in here asking questions or want to contribute to the conversation, even if they have an opposing idea or an opposing view. I don't care. But when you want to come in and act like a fucking asshole, or if you just come in and say something else that is just to be a fucking asswipe, then no, we don't need you.
Not appealing to this guy's authority.
You know what, Lisa?
Not
You're
saying
going
this
to
is
keep
true,
it
but
up.
this guy
You're
said it.
here. Okay, Lisa,
Okay,
Lisa, you have just been banned. You're gone. No more Lisa. You couldn't fucking control yourself. I'm not the one to fucking play with tonight, bitch. Okay?
saying that this is the facts, and here's that PhD that'll also tell you. But do we agree, though, that do you understand my position? I'm not claiming that they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Not making positive claim that they do exist in any certain way.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you.
I'm saying that if they did exist, they're not exclusive to your model. Actually, they're the opposite. They would have to be on a geocentric model.
And have you
See
heard
what
of?
I'm saying?
Are you pulling up the quote or no?
Yeah, I just have like 300 here.
Have you heard of Project Echo?
No.
So Project Echo in the 60s was they put up gigantic balloons. They were 100-foot, one of them, Echo 1, 135 feet, I think Echo 2 in diameter, huge. And one of them was active, meaning that you send a signal to it, it receives that signal, amplifies it, and then transmits it back to Earth.
You're all right, Greg. No worries, man. Just doing a little house cleaning, bro.
So it's very possible to use reflective balloons as satellite bounce stations. So just because you've never been told that doesn't mean that that's not what they're using. It's very, very simple to point your dish up at the sky. They send a beam to that balloon, bounces back to your dish. Amen. You have internet or TV or whatever you need.
Okay, there are tons of balloons up there, and Google proved you can use internet for it and stuff. But here's the quote, Jaron. I'll share the screen. I don't know if you can show it easily or not.
Yeah, sorry, I can. Sorry.
All right. It says, again, once more for the record, it has been shown at least 6 different ways this century alone that the equations in physics used by NASA to launch satellites are identical to the equations derived from a geocentric universe. Thus, if the space program is proof of anything, It proves geocentricity and disproves heliocentrism. The evidence for heliocentrism is even weaker than the evidence for evolution. This is a PhD astronomer, Gerardus Bow.
Wasn't it Hubble, Edwin Hubble, that said the thing about the that it was a scary position because we seem to be at the center and that everything is moving, you know, around us. He said something about that it was a scary position. I think that was him. You know, but it's like, but we'll just we'll just disregard that shit because we don't like the way it looks. I mean,
The
it's
walls
good.
are closing in.
Yeah, man.
Tell
It's
you, huh?
fucking bullshit, man. Yeah, it is. Well, and that's like with that stupid shit with dark matter. That one cracks me up. That's why I'm gonna have dark money. You know,
Yeah.
I only got $3 $50 deposits in my ledger, but my balance says there's $2 million. So my math's not wrong, man. It's not my math. Fuck, it's not my math. No, it must only can mean that I have dark money. You see? Crazy.
And I gave you the specifics. It counts for real inertial forces, centrifugal, centripetal, and actually there's a radially, there's a net centripetal, radially inward accelerative force, and then there's a Euler force. It counts for real inertial forces. It counts for a change in velocity relative to the center of the ECI, which is the Earth-centered inertial frame, which has the seasons happening like every 24 hours because they had to change it because your model didn't work. It counts for preferred direction of light. That light is variant, C plus V, relative to say how fast the clocks move for synchronization. And I go more and more into detail, but this is a fact. The fact is, this is the Stillman for your model. Look, I do this sometimes. Okay. Yeah, sure. We use the geocentric.
Put on the glasses. I love that because it's like the, you know, he's doing that, and people know that are in the know why he's doing it. Because of this perception deception that people are under. I've talked about it before, right? So you put the glasses on, you're going to change you know, the whole thing. Give him a pocket protector and a slide rule, and you know you're going to just take it. But I think it's funny the way he does it. But anyways, the glasses have come out. This is dangerous.
Centric physics and equations, but actually, you know, it's just easier. It's a simpler physics, simple equations. So we use a geocentric Earth model because we're on the Earth. Why wouldn't we? We're on the Earth. So we just use it as if the Earth is stationary. We use it as if there are real forces, but they're actually just pseudo forces. They're not really there. We act like they're going in a circle because it's easier math. We use Newton even though he was debunked, and we use the Earth-centered, Earth-fixed system even though the Earth is actually not centered nor fixed and is tilted, bobbing, spinning, and revolving, flying through space. But it works anyway. But they're wrong because they cannot work anyway. They're fundamentally contradictory physics, and that would violate the law of non-contradiction, which is the first law of logic. So.
Are you familiar with the advertised orbit of the ISS?
Yeah.
And were you aware that people will use that to figure out when the ISS will be above them?
The advertised orbit, as in like what they publish and where it can be.
Yeah, no.
Of course.
The published, you have to agree with the published orbit because it's around a globe.
No. Have you not seen it just put on a plane?
Yeah, it looks like a spirograph. It's an impossibility.
It's crazy. It's like everything in nature takes that geometry, including all the planets from a stationary Earth position. So this isn't exclusive to like a spinning globe or anything, man. I think that's kind of the point here. And if I wanted to really get into it, your model's been disproven, and something like what I'm saying has to be the case because we've shown that what you guys claim is Earth rotation measurements actually is not. We can measure the spin of the Earth, the spin of the sky, that you guys call the spin of the Earth, right? It's called sidereal rotation with.
You guys want to see evidence of God? That picture on my thumbnail, somebody was just talking about that picture on my thumbnail for this video. There was another picture taken just after it, and I'm going to share it with you real quick, and it is the proof of God. So hang tight real quick. And here we go. So, I mean, there it is. Big hand in space, right? Pointing at a a black hole. That's God trying to draw your attention right to it and everything. So it's kind of like where science and spirituality meet. I think that's awful cool, man. Anyway.
Interferometry lasers. As we get higher up, it gets faster and faster and faster. The laser travels. I don't think light actually travels faster in east to west, the same direction the sky moves, and it changes with the seasons and solar motion. So we've shown that there is a drift in the sky that you can detect and actually even affects pendulums that you also claim is Earth spin. And so that makes perfect sense, right? The evidence has shown there is no rebuttal from your side. You guys have to claim that it's not real, literally. That's what Einstein said. It must be an error. He said, if it's not instrumental error, my whole theory is wrong. But I'm going to try to explain it real simple, but we can move on or whatever. But so as you get higher, it gets stronger. Michelson Morley, Michelson Gell Pearson, Dayton Miller replicated many times, even in the 21st century, with incredible radio millimeter wave precision. So I think about if you go higher, this drift keeps getting stronger. Well, also the air keeps getting thinner. So you're going to have less impedance, right, of the drift because there's less physical material medium there to impede it, right? And we've proven it affects the matter by messing with the pendulum at the bottom, at the surface where it's thickest.
Barbara, you were upside down, but because of gravity, right? It was gravity that was making you not feel like you was upside down and you didn't feel it because of math. Okay. I'm working on a mathematical formula for upset stomach so that when people feel that, they can have this math that'll make them not feel it. So I thought that's a good idea. I'm working on it. Big time.
So long story short, the drift would get stronger and stronger the higher you go, like the measurements show. So to me, I think there probably is stuff up there for sure doing these little spirographs around the Earth. You just transform the coordinate system and you have to use it as a geocentric Earth. So just like that PhD astronomer said, if it's proof of anything, it's proof of a geocentricity.
I'm gonna show this visual real quick for the audience in case they've never seen this before.
I can't remember if he invokes the old Greek Aristosthenes with his sticks and shadows. He's sitting there one day and he says to his faithful assistants, he said, "Come, feces, I, Aristosthenes, and my faithful assistant Feces shall measure sticks and wells and shadows and somehow relate that information 500 miles because I think the Earth is a ball." That's what happened. It really happened.
So here is the orbit of the ISS over a globe, and here's what it would have to be over a flat Earth. And by the way, you may not be able to notice this, but the speed of the ISS on the flat Earth also has to change speed when it gets to the south. So I'm going to suggest right now that this orbit here is what it's actually doing and not this crazy path. And what I do think would refute your model, Austin, is when the ISS goes over the South Pole. So if someone, well, it gets close.
Yeah, see, it's always these little nuances.
It doesn't get close.
It doesn't go over the north or south. No satellites or planes ever go directly over the North Pole even.
But my point is this: if somebody on the tip of South America sees the ISS and then someone in Australia sees it shortly thereafter, then in your model, that's going to be quite a distance to travel to see that thing in the sky versus on the globe. So whatever, the audience can decide what they want with that.
Okay, sure. I mean, yeah, kind of straw man in a model. I don't believe in a map. Let's actually jump to that question then.
Great.
I get that. It's honestly not fair in that situation. I've looked into the physics of satellites. You've never heard a flat earther say that, surely, and it's all good. But
it's okay.
You should look into it if you're looking for truth. You should look. Why would a PhD astronomer say something that crazy, bro? Is he really that ignorant? You know,
honestly, man, I'm not doubting you personally, but
I don't believe that the man is searching for truth. I believe the man is searching for excuses of why his crazy ass fucking belief is real. That's what I think he's actually doing.
God damn her, man. I'll see you later.
What's it? Oh, she come to pick you up?
I don't know what the fuck she can do with that.
Well, just ignore her. You drove here, right?
Yeah, let her blow like that.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
Let her blow. Let her blow. She keeps
She's gonna
blowing.
come knock on the door.
Well, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, okay.
I ain't got to answer it.
Okay, that's
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Johnny has a crazy bitch, man.
That's cool. Man.
She's out in my driveway right now honking her fucking horn. So I'm going to let this play for a second. I'll be right.
So many flat earthers have made up quotes, taken quotes out of context, and lied. I would have to research that first. And again, I don't think you would do that, but dude, flat earthers do that all the time. All right, so let's talk maps.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find my screenshot of your list exactly.
Okay.
How you used it.
What I said is there is no flat Earth map, and the Gleason map is made from a globe.
Okay. So does that prove that the Earth is a globe?
It's part of the evidence of this whole thing.
Okay.
Yes. So I think I can make a pretty strong case here. Now, I've heard you say many times that the Gleason map is not perfect, but it's a good start. That's an exact quote that you've said many times.
Yeah, usually I say that about the AE map.
That's what he's talking about.
It's kind of the same thing.
Kind of. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, I can show this if I need to, but if you guys just agree, we can move on. Do you guys agree that Gleason's patent says that he used a globe and that the distortion on his map was because it's from a globe?
Yeah. We read his book where he said he literally couldn't patent it unless he did that. He said that he actually writes a big long book to his friend to tell him about flat Earth, and he says, just so you know the context, I couldn't patent any other map unless it was illegal. This is the only coordinate system I can use according to the decree given by the king, which we've actually gone and verified and got the copy of. So he had to use that coordinate system. He explains it in the book. Not that he's a glober or that he just wasn't smart enough and he had to use the globe. They wouldn't let him patent the map unless he used the globe coordinate system.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the cool
Iron Horse thought you were part of the fucking background.
What?
He thought you were part of the background picture.
Who did?
The Iron Horse. He thought you were part of the fucking background picture.
thing is flat earthers, again, not you, they've told me that Gleason had to make a true map because the globe was fake and he made a flat earth map, which is ridiculous. So what I'd like to, you know this, Austin, Jaron, you know this, but I want the audience to understand this, is that the flat earth maps that flat earthers use are actually just a projection of the globe, and it's called an azimuthal equidistant projection of the globe. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. This is a really cool website that everybody should be familiar with. It's called worldmapgenerator.com. And if you go to this site and you click on this second arrow here that says projection, you get all of the different projections of the globe here. So for example, we have the Mercator projection, which a lot of people are familiar with. And then we have this one right here called the azimuthal equidistant. And if you click that one, you're going to say, huh, I've never seen that map before. An azimuthal equidistant projection of the globe allows you to make any point on the planet that you want the center point, okay? And so you don't recognize this map. It looks bizarre.
It's because it's fucking nonsense.
Right? But if I grab the North Pole and I bring it here to the center, oh my goodness, look at that. We have the quote unquote flat earth map. Now, Austin, you know this, but almost all flat earthers don't. They think this is an actual map of the earth when it's just a projection of the globe.
Do you understand what projection is, though? Do you understand that you could do many different projections, right?
Yes.
And if the
That's
earth
right.
was flat, could you make a projection that is a globe? Yeah.
You probably could, but I can't visualize that.
Wait, we skipped the first step. So let's talk about how.
This is the thing too. What does this guy told me? He says, "Well, you know, talking about fucking maps and shit." And I'm like, "You want to foot the bill for me to go and hire people to do cartography? And what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? You assume that your map is correct, but have you actually verified these distances yourself? No, you haven't. You have not. Okay. You can go by what people have told you, but we have a vast area of ocean right here in this area too. You see this? And I'm supposed to believe that there's nothing out there. All right? Come on. That's insane.
We got this map in the first place. We got latitude lines. That was the first step. So the way we get latitude lines is we look at Polaris and we take an elevation angle measurement, and then we draw a circle around the ground position below Polaris. That's how we got it. We looked at Polaris, we took measurements and kept going back, drawing concentric circles, right? And basically, you have to hijack a flat Earth. This is what the globe always has to do. It has to go into reality, treat the Earth like it's flat, step back out of reality, take all the data and say, no, I promise it's not flat though, and then put a globe assumption on top of it. So you take your measurement, you have your horizontal baseline extending all the way to the ground position underneath Polaris, right? So Polaris would be your zenith, 90 degrees. So you just have this long horizontal baseline assumed. Taking your elevation measurements, keep going back, you get the latitude system. Then they took that and wrapped it around the ball. Then they wrapped it into a cylinder, flattened it out, and that's how we got the Mercator. So the actual coordinate system itself, the latitude system, actually hijacked reality to like a plain Earth, and it's just a construct. It isn't reality, right? So now, of course, if you also should know plain Earth or flat Earthers, true Earthers, we say that the South is where everything is super suspect and super sketchy. It should be completely the same. It should be symmetrical in the South, but it's not. And then we have huge magnetic declination corrections when people are navigating. They would have no idea. There are areas in the South you have to, your compass says north. The magnetic declination charts for your model say, actually, look 180 degrees the other way. Your compass is exactly opposite. So if you navigate using your compass, assuming a globe, making all these corrections, you would never know. We don't know what's out in the Southern Ocean. We don't know if there's more land. We don't know the actual proportionate layout. People are navigating using magnetic declination. So maps don't prove reality, bro. Just a construct that had to use a flat Earth. And then they made it a law, a decree from the king that you could only use the globe if you make a map.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to suggest. I have never found a map where the scale was wrong.
I wish these people would get down to the fucking basics of this. Nobody uses a fucking world map to navigate anywhere. Period. They don't.
And all of those maps are based on the globe model. And so my question for you, Austin, before we actually take a closer look at the quote unquote flat Earth map, is why is there not a flat Earth map with a scale?
How could we fully map out the Earth if we can't even fully traverse south? And that does have it. Of course, there is a scale on Gleason's map. Obviously, you make corrections in the south. It's called a legend.
Yep.
You absolutely do make corrections. But yes, it is taking from a globe because he said I can't even patent the map without doing that. It's not even allowed. That isn't a victory. That isn't a victory. That's like me saying, okay, then let's keep the same energy. Okay, you used a globe and it was a globe first. Like, okay, we measured the Earth as if it's flat. Then you guys take all that data, stitch it together, step back, and claim it's actually a globe. We use plane survey data for all engineering, for everything. We fly planes like it's flat. So if we start with the stationary flat Earth assumption, then that must be the truth.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, you don't want to apply that same logic, right? But do you get the main point, bro? That maps are just concepts. No. Maps are not reality, that they're concepts. And that when we go to the south, we have to make huge magnetic declination corrections to be able to adequately navigate.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say
what I'm trying to say is not that, this other thing. Okay.
is that I've never found a map that the scale was wrong. So I think that's significant. And the maps.
You've never had a map that the scale was wrong? How about a Mercator projection? Okay, what map are you talking about? There is no world map that you're not going to be able to have. You're not going to have some kind of distortion one way or the other on it. Okay. And why is that? Not because it's hard to do, but because, as Gleason noted, you're controlled as to what you can put out, man. You have to use somebody else's shit or they won't allow it, man.
That I'm talking about, I'm not just talking about in the entire earth. I'm talking about countries or states. So I'm going to give you an example right now, which is Australia. Okay. So let me share this picture here.
When you
real
say
quick.
you've never found a map, are you talking about like the Mercator map? You think that the sizes of continents on the Mercator map are correct?
No, I'm talking about a map with a scale.
So Mercator doesn't have a scale?
I don't know if Mercator has a scale.
Okay.
So anyway, you guys, this is what us globe people believe Australia looks like. And I had to cut this out of Google Maps, but Google Maps has a scale. And then here is what the flat earth map says Australia looks like. So right off the bat, just from a simple logic standpoint, we should know that both of these cannot be right. They're drastically different.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Yeah, they're just a concept.
Well, maybe.
Sure, that's what they are.
All right, so just for the audience who's never seen this before,
You guys are talking about in the chat the old cars NASA has, and Iron Horse. This is right up on here. This guy's talking about Australia. What's your take on this shit, man? I mean, you fucking live there, right? So he's talking about these different, but you guys with the old cars, yeah. First thing I thought was, oh, maybe like Men in Black shit. You know, these guys are going back in time. They have to have the right vehicle for the timeline that they're going to go into or whatever, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of weird. But the fact that that thing has been released and been all over and nobody's tried to suppress it or anything like that tells me that they want you to think that shit. So.
All premeditated.
Yeah.
I want you to take a look at the drastic difference that the globe people believe is the shape of Australia and the flat earth people believe is the shape of Australia. Flat earth maps make it Australia into a hot dog. Now, I don't know if it's true, but people have told me, because I'm new in this space, that back in the day, flat earthers didn't think Australia was real, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
No
That
one
was
ever
never
got that.
never real at all.
Okay.
Not
All right,
one
good.
person.
I'm glad to hear that. So my question for you, Austin, is which one of these do you think best represents the actual size of Australia?
Great question, man. I don't know. Like I would say maybe somewhere in the middle. What about that? Because my answer remains the same here. This is just a concept. It's a construct. We weren't even allowed to make but one type of map. You can't even freely and privately explore the earth. Right? I put that in a rap one time. It's like, it's tragic every time the motto under attack is always a tactic where they're asking where the map is. If they lied about the earth, what are you even asking?
Mm-hmm.
We can't privately and freely explore the earth. So I think it's wild that we would skip over. Can we
They will shoot you dead. They will shoot you dead, stone dead.
verify the actual dimensions and curvature of the surface that this map purports to represent, and skip over all that stuff that would actually completely falsify this whole entire concept that's after the fact that you assumed the sphere, and then say, look, I think the map works pretty good. It's like, I mean, actually, when they traveled in the South back in the day, assuming a sphere, they consistently got lost. Consistently, royal expeditions, they spent so many thousands of hours and days trying to figure out the South, and the South was not symmetrical as the North was, like they expected. So what did they do? They had to start sending out magnetic declination surveys and trying to correct and correct and correct to try to get it to match the globe. That's why when you go in the South, you're just navigating with corrections. So when people actually went to the South, when these maps were first being put together, it didn't work. We had to make gross corrections to them. So that's the unspoken truth here. And no one wants to talk about. The South is not the same as the North. It should be exactly the same.
Okay, cool. So back to Australia. So the one here on the left is the shape of Australia on the globe. The one on the right is the shape of Australia on every flat earth map I've ever seen, including the Gleason map. And so, Austin, I'm going to show you right now what I think is proof that the one on the left is right and that the flat earth map is wrong. Okay?
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. So we could easily figure this out. The easiest way, which you and I can't do, is we could just go to Australia and drive it. We could just drive across and see how long it is, but we can't. But you know what we could do? We could do something close to that, which is fly over Australia. So I'm going to show you here. Here is a flight from Perth to Brisbane. And if we look at what we believe, what the globe people believe is the shape of Australia, we should know that the width is just slightly wider than the max height from top to bottom. And so this flight right here was 4 hours and 3 minutes from Perth to Brisbane. And then here's a flight. Okay. Here's a flight from Melbourne to Darwin. And it's 3 hours and 55 minutes. And that's from almost the northernmost point to the southernmost point. So we just went far west to far east, far north to far south. And what do you know? The distance of the flight is almost identical. It's only 8 minutes.
That's literally how that program gets the speed. It's assuming the distance.
Hold on. Sorry. This is important. So going north to south and east to west on Australia, which our map would say should be about the same, but east to west is slightly longer. It's an 8-minute flight difference. So what are your thoughts on that?
Flights are consistently different times. There is no like specific exact time for flights. And the way that these programs get the supposed speeds that the planes go is they assume the distance and then they look at the time. You're saying that, oh, it's not always 8 minutes. I could literally just Google it right now and I'll find one that is not the same times as these. So what are you suggesting? It should be grossly different if the Earth is flat? What exactly is your argument? The fact that they're 8 minutes apart, assuming the globe distance to get an assumed speed, doesn't mean that's going to lead us right into the southern flights.
Perfect. So if you look right here, we have an average flight time as well. So I'm not changing anything. This one was 10 minutes before the average of 406. This one averages 409. So the average here, Austin, is a 3-minute difference. And just in case people are not following me, here would be the flight paths on the Gleason map. And by the way, the Gleason map is the only flat Earth map I could find on the entire internet that actually has the names of cities on it, which is bizarre to me. And if you look, this flight right here is 2.5 times shorter distance than this one. So Austin, why are these flights both within 5 minutes of each other, 3 minutes of each other on average?
He doesn't know that there's fucking winds that go in those directions and shit. God damn.
What is your explanation?
That is not to scale. You have to apply a scale to the outer regions of the map. It's literally on it. So there's literally a legend on the map.
Okay, so help me out here. Why can't you or Jaron or anybody else give us just a simple map of Australia? I'm not asking for the whole world. I'm not asking for you to go over the ocean.
Because we're not fucking cartographers, dickhead.
Why can't we just get a map of Australia that has the right scale and looks the right shape? Why?
Can we ask you though, what every single map that's ever been made, every coastline that's been mapped has all been done by government money, kings and queens. There's no private person going out and building maps, but you expect Austin and I to do that from our house. We're just supposed to go out and map the world for you. That's
no. Just help me understand why we can't get the proper shape of Australia when
I just told you.
If you give me
$10 million, I'll do it.
And millions of people, and we can go out there and do it, and then code.
10 million might start to cover it, but that's like the asshole in my comments telling me to go out and navigate the fucking Pacific Ocean or some shit with a sextant. And I'm like,
Go do a survey.
what the fuck is wrong with you? This guy, this is probably coming from some dumbass who went and got himself jabbed for a fucking donut. You know, that's the mentality I'm dealing with.
And then map entire coastlines and make very specific physical measurements and not just make globular assumptions as we then beg the question of a spherical distance, and then we can't really figure out nautical miles and distances. And
so where does the shape of Australia come from on the globe side? Where is that coming from? Are you guys saying that that's made up or what? Where does it come from?
No, you guys have those very resources that we're discussing, assuming that the Earth is a sphere the whole time. And what happened?
This is what cracks me up. He can't understand that. He thinks that just people can just go out and start mapping shit. What the fuck, Mr. Duffy? How would you go about mapping the earth? You're real quick to want to ask about it, right? How the fuck would you go about doing it? You don't shift that fucking bullshit onto me. Like I'm going to be able to go out there and like Francis Drake and shit and go out there and fucking do cartography around the world and everything. Like, no, I don't have a life at all. Fuck no. Why don't you just suck one?
Now is in 2024, people can come along and be like, look how good our map is. Oh, but let's talk about what actually happened, which is that it consistently failed. It didn't work. When they went to the south, assuming the earth was a sphere, all of the world's bestseller says this does not work. South is not symmetrical to the north as it should be. We are getting lost. We're off by 200 miles a day sometimes. We're off by tons and tons and tons when we go to the south, assuming that it's actually a sphere. So what do? They had to come up with different corrections for the South so that over time, with an insane amount of resources, talking about actual English royalty and stuff, finally you got it to work where now if someone starts traveling out there, assuming it's a sphere, they would be completely off. What do? Make magnetic declination corrections. And it will correct them to get where they need to go. So you can think it's a sphere, but if you actually traveled there just assuming it's a sphere, it wouldn't work. That's the truth of the map that no ball earther will ever say. You'll never hear any of that information come out of Professor Dave's mouth, which is curious, right? Because that's just a historical fact. It's a fact that when you go to the south, you couldn't properly traverse it, assuming it's a sphere, unless you made immense corrections for magnetic declination as you navigate. That's incredibly important.
Okay, so Austin, I would be content if you and Jaron would admit right now that the globe shape of Australia must be way closer to the truth than the Gleason map because of these flights.
No, I'll never say. But if you want us to draw the Earth for you, to draw the map for you, then you just need to get us the source code for GPS. And
whoops, my bad. Sorry about that.
it's just the GPS space. It just tells you where you're at. But you get this: if it is changing things and telling people to adjust for the globe, then we would not know that, and they would hide the GPS source code, which is exactly what happens. So give me that source code, and I'll be able to tell you all the transformations that they've made from the real Earth to the globe Earth.
I don't have that, obviously. But again, I feel like you guys should just be willing to admit that if these two flights right here have an average flight time within 3 minutes of each other, that those distances are about the same. Why can't you admit that?
Well, they're 300 miles difference, though.
Speed that they travel, one's going north and one's going east.
Well, it tells you that right there. You got a 300-mile difference, but you're saying they're within minutes of each other. So how is the plane doing that?
So you're saying one's traveling way faster than the other one, right?
Well, hold on for a second. The planes travel very fast, and so a 10-minute difference is significant on a plane.
Okay. Are they traveling at different speeds?
Every flight is going to have different speeds due to, wind resistance, headwinds, tailwinds, jet streams, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So there's like a 300-mile difference. So that means if they're close to the same time, then one's going faster than the other on average. So what would be a logical explanation for one of them going faster than the other one on average, meaning consistently?
Distance. Very simple.
No.
It's Austin. It's right here. 2,200.
I just asked you, if one of the planes is going faster than the other one, what would be like? It's traveling faster, a faster speed than the other one. And what would be a logical explanation as to why one plane is consistently traveling a faster speed than the other one?
I don't know about consistently one traveling faster than the other.
You just said, it says right there, average time.
Is pretty weak.
You said average.
Well, again, I feel like you guys don't want to make a simple admission here, which to me, it's very simple. These distances visually right now on this globe map look about the same. And guess what? The flights are only 10 minutes difference, which is exactly what we would expect if these maps are accurate. I feel like you guys are afraid to be like, you know what, that might be the shape of Australia. You are afraid to say that, and there's no reason for you to be afraid to say that.
Well,
Dude, I wouldn't care at all what the shape of Australia is, bro, because it's actually the distances and the traveling between different continents and stuff that is important.
We'll
You
get
use
there.
Magnetic declination corrections and completely hide the south. What I'm making a specific point to you. Is your example not invoking one of the planes traveling faster than the other one?
Not necessarily.
What?
Okay.
So he doesn't even bother checking fucking flight times. Just, I mean, come on, bro.
If these two planes have the exact same speed the entire time and all things are equal, the greater distance which we have here could lead to the greater flight time. It's that simple. So anyway, we can move on. But
yeah, but it's 300 miles is 300 miles in just 2 or 3 minutes. Or what do you have there? What's the difference in time? 8 minutes? I don't remember what you said.
The difference
minutes.
on this particular flight was 8 minutes. Now that distance is not correct, by the way. This distance, I don't want to get into this. This is called the Great Circle distance, and that's a straight line on a globe between 2 points. You'll notice here every flight varies in going up and down, and that's due to winds and things of that nature, trying to get the most efficient flight time. So these distances are not right, but the actual flight time is right.
Do you know that computers basically will decide where the planes will fly, or do you think it's pilots steering the wheel of the plane?
No, computers do almost everything.
Okay, so imagine that I've got a little 2 toy cars that I'm starting in New York, and I want one to get to San Francisco and one to get to Colorado. Could I program them so that the one gets to Colorado after the one gets to San Francisco? Is that possible?
They do that shit with railroads all the time. They do that shit with railroad cars all the time.
If you vary the speeds.
Right. So by varying the speeds of planes, you could easily get them where you want them to be at a certain time. Now, tell me, have you ever flown and left late from your flight? You guys are getting on, it's about 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late. Do you get where you're going on time?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So you know why that is? It's because planes can get up to different levels and get to places. The computer will make sure they get there on time, even if the plane leaves 40 minutes late.
Well, they can't guarantee that. It has to do a lot with weather.
They don't guarantee it, but there's different flight levels that have different speeds that allow them to get up there. And they're always going to have a buffer time, because they imagine how everything would fall apart if one plane arrived late and then everybody on that plane misses their connection. It would be a disaster.
And this is kind of some of the stuff they do all the time with air traffic control, because they have all this information, all the flight time data, all the altitudes, everything, and they know where all the wind speeds are at, you know?
But we don't have that. For the most part, planes get where they're going on time. For the most part, you're right. Barring 3-hour late departures or bad weather, but for the most part, planes are automatically controlled by computers. So you could easily have planes that are programmed to get to that location in Perth, from Perth to whatever you say, Brisbane. Is it Brisbane in the East Coast? So you can easily program them to get there in the times needed. And the planes, you can laugh all you want, but in your example, you just showed you have a plane getting 300 miles per hour further in just 8 minutes more. How's that possible?
No.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why the point's not being understood, brother.
It's
Like,
okay.
we're saying that planes constantly change altitude. They optimize air resistance, right? They go different speeds. They just try to get there roughly on schedule. They'll slow down and speed up as needed. They're not always just trying to get there as fast as they can. That's not how it works. And I'm asking you, are they consistently going different speeds? Jaron just gave you the logical answer for it. And when we start to go from continent to continent, we also have an answer for that. But I do want to let you respond, because I jumped in. So
No. It's all good, man. I'm ready to move on. I just want people to take one last good look at this, and the audience can decide, does this map with the names of the cities and the territories look like that's the right shape of Australia, or does this hot dog looking thing look like the right shape of Australia? And you can make the decision yourself.
I think it's kind of crazy that you don't get the point, though, which is that they assume the Earth's a sphere, therefore they have distances to these places, and then they have a certain schedule, and the plane's engineered to match the certain time it needs to. That's how it works. They go faster and slower all the time. And actually verifying ground speed of a plane is very difficult, certainly when you start getting over water, which is the easy reputation of the Southern flights. But I will say, I didn't really know that this was the agreement. I'm pretty laid back, honestly, because like there's nothing that a globe earther can bring up it's funny. But what I want to point out is, can we make one argument first? Can we like mix in some arguments or something instead of just going to do a list? because
fine.
the whole list can be nullified really quick. Like,
Okay.
Jaron, do you by chance have the Canagoo video handy?
Yeah.
Cool.
I could-
So just a real quick little update. I had to actually, so like somebody pointed out, I'm just not in the mood for fucking people's nonsense here tonight. So my boy's old lady showed up and she's out there in the driveway and fucking blowing his phone up and shit. And I was like, fuck this. So I just went outside, knocked on her window, and I said, get the fuck out of my driveway. Go, leave it right now, immediately. I don't want you bringing your crazy fucking drama over to my house. Go. And she was hesitant until I told her, I says, look, do I have to call somebody? Do I have to do something? What do I have to do here? Just get the fuck out of here. I don't want your drama at my house. Leave. So I had to fucking block her in real life. And I'm blocking motherfuckers on here too. Not playing tonight, man. Just not going to have it.
you could bring
All
it up.
right. I just want to know what you honestly think about this video, bro.
Cool. Does it have to do with the shape of the Earth?
It absolutely does. Yes.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Even though I don't know the exact numbers, I don't know if Jaron does, but it
Yeah, I know
doesn't
the
matter.
exact
I just
numbers. Yeah.
want to go through the principle.
Yeah, you can start to
So
explain to me.
if I'll lay it out for a second. So obviously, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles, that means it's curving at a certain rate. You can't say I don't care about the size. No, because the map you just invoked wouldn't be real if the size wasn't correct. Your distances between places wouldn't be correct. Your gravity wouldn't be correct. Your day and night cycle wouldn't be correct.
Yeah.
That number has to be exactly right. You can't be claiming you're going to send satellites into space or doing anything because they use a radius of orbit, which is actually a distance above the surface added to, of course, the radius of the Earth. Okay, so we went out and tested that number because we knew if that number is provably wrong, all of these other claims, reifying and presupposing that number, are also intrinsically wrong. The falsification of the radius value is the falsification of the entire model, right? Right? Basic geometry.
Okay,
This
so
isn't
this is
science, it's just geometry.
you see it up there, right?
So, yeah, so
Okay.
watch it. Now, this is a location that people can go out and make this observation on a specific day.
Mhm.
I think it's 2 days. Isn't it? Is it like 2 different days?
Yeah, 2 different times a year.
Now, keep in mind, everybody, this is something that the Globies always say, refraction. We've got refraction, everyone.
A couple days.
2
I
different
think.
times a year based on where the sun sets, because of course the sun changes its position in the sky throughout the year, right? Has an ecliptic path. And you guys claim that that's because the Earth is tilted. We say, no, the sun just moves in the sky, right? And so
You
based
guys
on
do
where it's-
not just say the sun moves in the sky. I think that's a little bit disingenuous.
Well, what we say
Is
is,
it-
you
is
see-
it
you see
under
how
the
sun is
dome?
moving in the sky? It's moving in the sky, and you guys claim actually it's sitting still. It just looks like it's moving because we're moving, and we feel like we're sitting still.
Is it under the dome? Is it in the sky?
I think it's in layers. It doesn't matter. It
Okay.
doesn't matter. The sun moves over a stationary plane. You guys claim, sure, it looks that way, but it's just an illusion. But that's not my point. My point is that we know that the sun has an ecliptic path. It changes throughout the year. We have an analemma, right? So
It's an analemma. I was pronouncing it wrong. It sounded like some kind of a dirty movie. Anal Emma. Anal Emma starring in.
now the sun's going to set in a specific place at a specific time of the year, and people can travel from all around the world and come out here and make this observation. So if we can, yeah, maybe play it out and make sure you can see it.
It's playing.
see it?
Can you see that? The sun setting with the mountain in front of it.
I see it. Yeah.
Right. So these are this is the Canagoo Peak, which is about 9,000 feet high, and you're standing about 1,000 feet from where you're at. This is supposed to be several thousand feet behind the curve. Now, what your model believes is that things are lifted up into the sky for us and displayed way higher than they should be. Every time you see the sunset, actually, the sun's already set. Every time you see the sun rise, it's actually further below the Earth than you see it. They just tell us that things are magically looming up. Here's a better picture right here. Watch this. Now, any other time of year, let me get a little better one. This one right after it's better. Okay, so here, any time of year, you would just look out there and you would see nothing. People would tell you that this horizon is the edge of the Earth. But on this particular day, twice a year, every year, the sun sets behind it, and all of a sudden we see Canagoo is there. So it doesn't waver. It doesn't rise and set. It doesn't sometimes be seen and sometimes not. It's always there.
Yep.
So you
And
have
like
to,
I have another video where it shows it a little bit longer. This may play a sound though. And I mean, we can share it because
Go ahead, share it.
I'm trying to figure out what a logical explanation is for this because there isn't one.
And the other thing that I think is important, Austin, is to go over the adoption thing, because again, we're finding this all the time, that unless we have the answer for him, then he's just going to continue to believe in the globe. He feels like if we don't have.
Oh, I love this analogy. This is a great analogy. I love how he puts this. This is great.
The reason why something is, then that means the globe must be true. So
yeah, like, do you agree with the logic that if I falsify your claim, I don't have to come up with new answers for everything else that you came up with inside your claim before yours is falsified? Falsification is independent of replacement. They're two separate things.
Yeah, I'm open to being falsified that the Earth is not a sphere.
Right. So like if I went and I looked in my mom's closet and I found that there were adoption papers and it says like the date I was born, it has a DNA paternity test, all this, it shows that those are not my real parents. I was adopted right when I was born. No. And my mom and dad took me to the hospital who I thought they were, whatever. I go up to you and I say, bro, you're not going to believe this, man. My whole life is a lie, dude. Those are not really my biological parents. I was adopted. And you're like, what? No way, man. There's no way. Everyone knows those are your parents. What do you think? Everyone's in on the lie? What do you think? The church is in on the lie? Do you think the school's in on the? I'm like, no, bro. They also believe they're my parents. But I'm just saying, look, they're not my parents. This is the evidence. Look, they're not my parents. And then you say, well, who are your real parents? I don't know, dude. That's a really good question. But I haven't figured that out yet.
Mhm.
No, I just know that they're not. Here's the evidence proving that they're not. And then you say, you know what, Austin, I'm not going to believe that those are not your real parents until you can tell me who your real parents are. That would be absurd, right?
That's exactly the same fucking shit that they do too. You know, that's exactly, man.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
That's
But you get the analogy, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Can we move on?
That's
We can
exactly
move back to
what it
Canagoo. That falsifies the radius value of the Earth.
Okay.
That,
Go ahead and share it, Austin.
Unfortunately, guys, I don't know anything about the radius value of the Earth, so I can't talk about it.
If the radius value of the Earth changes, that means that the mass of the Earth changes, which means the orbital velocity, all of the fucking mechanics that they've calculated in would change. Okay? That's what it fucking means. The shit is, you can't just use approximations, man.
the whole debate, brother.
I'm
It's the
sorry,
whole
man.
debate.
I signed up to debate whether or not the Earth is a sphere. Nothing to do with the size of the
Yes.
Earth.
What you said, the size of the sphere?
Nothing to do. I don't know anything about the size of the Earth. Like it says right there, a conversation on the shape of the Earth. That's what I'm trying to discuss here.
That's what
Here, and I
that's what we're
dropped the
talking about.
video for you in the Telegram.
Oh,
I
sorry,
just
I
gotta
didn't know
explain this to you, man. Okay, you cannot say you don't care about the size. I just explained why. If you're claiming it's a sphere, if it is a sphere, in order to explain things like the sun sets, all of the stuff we see, in order to invoke that Australia map you just used, your entire list requires that that size be correct. So I don't know why you're saying it absolutely does. I'll explain each one specifically. So, like, okay, let me find your screenshot again.
He just got done talking about maps and distances, which would be indicative of everything that's calculated supposedly by your ball. So size would be a relevant thing to discuss when discussing the condition of this realm. Absolutely. And so consequently, if we have a spherical object with a specific diameter, right? A specific diameter that rotates one time a day, which means that there's one rotation a day, right? That's a certain speed that gives us all that shit is important. There's also going to mean that if we're looking for the shape, there's going to be a measurable amount of convexity over a distance. Okay. But when we don't find that convexity over the distance as prescribed, we have a problem, Houston. We have a big fucking problem. Okay, because that's what are you going to say? It's a ball that's bigger. Well, then all of your equations are fucked. Okay, all of your orbits are fucked. All your gravity bullshit, all of that. It's all different now, right? So this is this is the way shit. Yeah, this guy, I don't think he came into a gunfight with a switchblade.
Your satellites, for example, all the stuff about satellites. You got Himawari, you got satellites are real, you got the ISS are real, right? All of those things require that the radius value of the globe model be true, because what they claim to do is orbit a sphere, and they have to know the radius of that orbit so that they can get a specific velocity and angular momentum to move around it. Perpetually free fall. They have to find their gravity pocket. So they need a radius of orbit, meaning the radius of their orbit around the Earth, right? So to a central axis, they have to know the distance. In order to know that, you have to have your altitude above the surface, and you have to have the distance from the surface to the center of the Earth. So you need the radius of the Earth and then the altitude above the surface to get your radius of orbit. You couldn't put any satellites in space moving around the globe unless the radius value of the globe was correct. That's like literally you couldn't do any of the claims of space without it.
100%
That's just one
right,
example.
Iron
You
Horse.
couldn't even have day and night cycle. You couldn't have your seasons. You couldn't have sunsets at all, right? Because they're all based on that.
See, this is the thing people don't understand when it comes to like to volume, right? Surface area doesn't have to increase very much to increase volume exponentially. Okay. In fact, surface area doesn't increase. This is the whole reason that you have cell mitosis is because the volume outdoes the surface area, which is of a cell is the mouth of the cell. So it's basically what if somebody got too fat to where their mouth was too small to be able to eat. So they split into two people instead. It's that same type of thing. So the volume increases exponentially to the surface area. What this would do by increasing the volume of the Earth by even just a little bit adds more mass, which of course is going to change according to their model, every fucking equation that they have. So yes, it fucking matters. It all depends on the gravity of the situation. Come on, don't give me a circle.
That is the geometry claim. That is the shape claim.
I'll definitely look into that, but I do believe I can demonstrate for the audience tonight that the Earth is a sphere. Do you want me to say anything about this sun and this mountain?
Yeah, I want you to tell me what are we seeing then? You have to believe then that this mountain, which is behind this line, if this line is the globe horizon, then this mountain is underneath it, and it's being lifted somehow magically to be shown.
Just play the video all the way through so like everyone can see. You can go there on a predicted day because of where the sun sets physically in reality.
Look at that mountain.
You can see.
You don't even want to look at it.
Look at that real mountain there. You have
to. So hold on, guys.
Yeah.
Can I respond?
Yeah.
I can't talk to this really at all. Okay. So number one, I'm not familiar with the mountain. I'm not familiar with the distances. I'm not familiar with any of that stuff. But I'm going to answer. I'm not going to deflect here. Okay.
And you can humor us if you want. Let's just pretend that what we're saying is true. That it mathematically it's supposed to be behind it. Okay.
I'll just humor you with this sphere here. Okay. So this sphere has this little metal thing on here. And if I go like this and I slowly turn up right here, you can see the metal, even though the horizon is way in front here.
Of course.
So that it's possible that mountain is like this, and you can see it, even though the horizon is lower because of how tall it is. That's
but we know. Yeah, exactly.
We know the height.
You're right. But we know exactly what the math is, right?
Well,
so
I don't.
Okay, but now we said assume that we're getting the math correct. Okay, which is that the globe Earth says that there should be thousands of feet of curvature blocking these mountains. That is the actual situation. All the globe veterans would say that this is refraction. They would say that the mountain is not really there. It's an illusion. It's being lifted up from behind the Earth. Now, here's a couple problems with that.
It's a hell of a distance to have to raise something up to put it right at the same level as you would see them. I guarantee you, if you went through that distance and went toward those mountains, you would not see it disappear and then suddenly reappear on the fucking horizon again. That whole excuse, I'm not buying it. Not a bit.
So coincidentally, the refraction always happens on the day that the sun sets right behind the mountain to give us the silhouette. What a coincidence that the refraction, the atmosphere conspires with the earth to deceive everyone that it's flat. And the mountains are like, we're going to trick them. We'll make that refraction happen on the specific days every year based on the path of the sun, that the sun sets below the mountain, behind the mountains. Even worse than that, you would have to, that means that the silhouette, the shadow, is being refracted. And that means the sun and the mountain are both going to have to be refracted together to give you that silhouette. So then you have to claim that the sun is also being refracted the exact same amount as the mountains.
Yeah, I
It
apologize,
just debunks
guys.
the whole globe, bro. It debunks the whole conversation.
this right here-
May, but honestly, guys, like I'm not a good person to talk to this about because I just am not familiar.
So let me get this straight. He invokes things, and then I'm not the best person to talk about this. So basically, what is your idea? Why does you think that the Earth is a globe? Other than the fact that somebody told you? Really? Pretty good. All right.
Here with all the math, and I really want to make sure that we get through my list because I don't want you guys to be accused of changing the topic, talking about something that I don't know anything about, just to avoid having to deal with my list.
No, we'll deal with the list, but I think that it's important that if we are seeing things that can't be seen geometrically on a globe, and their answer is refraction, and Austin just told you why that doesn't seem to work. I would just hope you would have some explanation or answer. I guess you just believe that. That's whatever.
No.
You're saying you're open to you being wrong?
Yeah, of course I'm open to being wrong. And by the way, I'm willing to look into this, but I don't want to waste our time on this discussion. I'd rather go look into it and spend a few hours and then reconvene on it.
Sure, that's cool. That's cool. I understand. I'm making a point that actually looking at all the other stuff that assumes that value is true would be the waste of time. But it's all good for this specific intent. For intents and purposes, we're having a conversation. You have a list. It's cool. I get it. You're not. I understand in that context. But in the context of actually trying to figure out what's going on, actually just assuming all these other things about space, requiring the actual size of the Earth number would be the waste of time if the number's wrong. So.
And as a preacher, I mean, you recognize that we are being lied to on massive levels. And if there was a lie out there that was keeping people away from the creator by creating this magical science that has given us evolution, given us the age of rocks and all these wonderful things, right? And I'm sure you've been told the lies too. Have you been told that Copernicus gave us his book on his deathbed?
No.
Oh, you've never been told that?
No.
That's what they say, but it's not true. He was presenting to the Pope about heliocentricity 10 years before he died. So that's another lie that they tell us. And if you start adding up all these lies, I mean, do you know about Edwin Hubble telling us that the universe is expanding? And then when they asked him, he says, well, we have to stay away from the absolute horror of a unique position.
That's the one I was trying to think about, the absolute horror of the unique position. Yeah, that's scary shit there, isn't it, Mr. Hubble? Barney Hubble.
It must be avoided at all costs. So this is what science is telling us. It has to be avoided that we are the center of the universe, even though every observation tells us that we are. And you don't find that appalling as a preacher that listen again, observations tell us we're the center of the universe, period. Can't be debunked. Yet we are led down a path that leads us to spinning. Do you know how fast we're moving right now? 1.2 million miles per hour. That's what you expect us to believe.
That's an actual Hubble quote, man. He says that the observations show that the Earth seems to imply the Earth occupies a central position, and that central Earth can never be disproven. But because of the horror of a unique and special position, we must avoid it. A unique position is intolerable, and we will avoid it at all costs unless we have no other choice, even though that's what the evidence suggests, and we can never disprove it. So they're actually philosophically biased against the idea of creation. That's literally what the Copernican principle is. That's what he's trying to tell you is like, don't you agree that's not very scientific? Don't you think that's kind of weird?
Yeah, if we're being lied to, I'd want to know about it. But if we could just get to my stuff on the shape of the Earth, I really don't want to run out of time.
Well, we just debunked the shape of the Earth, but we can go ahead.
I mean, not yet.
Okay. Let's go to lunar eclipses. We're gonna get to your southern flights.
Okay, that's my favorite. All right,
I know it's your favorite, bro.
All right, lunar eclipses.
So this will be cool. What we'll do is we'll go through this with the lunar eclipses, and then I'm going to go ahead and shut down for tonight, and we'll pick up again tomorrow. Yeah, Barney Hubble, Greg. He was Fred Flintstone's best friend. Didn't you know that? Everybody knows that. But this is good with the eclipses because again, this is another huge claim by the Globers with no merit, because it's sort of like, this can only be done. No, 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 no. Stop saying that. It can only be done this way and that way. You're full of shit.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is a lunar eclipse on the flat Earth model?
Good question. I don't
So
know.
Is that
I can tell you a few possibilities.
okay?
There can just be something else in the sky that causes it. There could be electromagnetic polarization. So, like if you take polarized lenses, have you ever heard of the Venn diagram paradox? Called the
No.
quantum Venn diagram. So, if you take like a lens, like polarized lenses, you say you stack one, and then if you put another one and tilt it to 90 degrees, it'll block out all the light, right? So, like the light goes through the lens, but another one, it'll turn black. You add a third one, it will come back, right? That debunks the photon. Just side note. But anyway, my point is when you take the lens and you're twisting the other one, it'll slowly turn to like looking exactly like an eclipse does. So if there's electromagnetic polarization, that could happen. Also, that whatever could be, blocking the light doesn't have to be a circle, because if it's a circle, then what its shadow will automatically be a circle, even if you put like a cylinder in front of it or a block in front of it, right? We've shown demonstrations of that. So that's a couple. There are ancient conceptions of what it is. It could just be a cycle itself that's charging. It could have a relationship to the sun. Jaron, do you want to throw one in?
Well, I
All
was just gonna say
speculation,
that
not making the positive claim at all here.
go into your garage tonight and take two spheres and then shine a light and make an eclipse from one sphere to the other, and you'll notice that it doesn't match what we see in the sky. When you have two spheres, one sphere shadowing the other, you get this ellipse, kind of real elongated part of the shadow. Then it becomes a circle, and then as it leaves, it becomes elongated again. That's how a sphere on another sphere would work. That's not what we see when we see eclipses. We see it, whatever you want to call that, the little crescent move across, never gets elongated, never goes back the other way.
Yeah, I guess you asked us what is it on a flat Earth? Okay, this is the actual proper answer. We don't know. We would have to speculate. We know we can't independently verify what that would be, and we try not to make definitive claims like that because that is fallacious, and that's what your model does. But do you agree that if we were able to falsify your model's claim of eclipses, I did not need to replace it to falsify it? I think that's an important part. Do you agree that it's a simple question? Do you agree that falsification is independent of replacement?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you see how this matches the whole being adopted thing. You said, I'm not doing that, and then you just did it.
No.
He didn't do it. He didn't do it.
I asked a question.
Yeah, that's true. He asked us what it is. We're telling you we don't have to make definitive claims.
Okay, cool.
You explain the globe Earth claim and why you think why it's real and how it proves the globe.
All right. So what I'm going to do to start, because until I got into all this stuff, I actually didn't even understand fully the difference between a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. So I want to explain this for the audience real quick. And again, this is the globe model. Okay. So this is very simple. A solar eclipse is when the moon is in between the sun and the earth. And when it's aligned just right, the shadow of the moon is on the earth. That's a solar eclipse. That's what's going to happen in North America in April. Now, a lunar eclipse, which we're talking about first.
Dude, you know what you were just saying? If I leave my plastic pegs on the clothesline in about 6 months, they're crumbling. No shit, right? I found a thermos.
Yeah.
I found like an igloo thermos out. I've been in the desert, one of those red and white ones, and the fucking thing, I went to pick it up and it crumbled in my hand. Yeah. It crumbled in my hand. Yeah, I know. That's how I wonder how that shit can withstand all that, But as Don Pettit said, it's really good engineering.
Right now is when the earth is in between the sun and the moon. Okay, very, very, very significant. And so then the globe model is saying that the earth's shadow is then going onto the moon. That's the difference between a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. All right, now I also want to explain something to everybody, and I did some arts and crafts here so that people can understand it. And Austin, I want you to see this if you're nearby.
He's coming back in a second.
What-
And so you do understand that the model calls for that. In order for that to be true, we have to have a 400 times as far sun and 400 times as big.
No, that's not true.
What do you mean?
That it works with that, but it doesn't have to be.
What do you mean?
It could be 500 and 500, 300 and 300.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be exactly that.
Okay. But
Okay,
you
great.
don't think that that's strange that we live on a place that those two things line up like that?
No, I believe that was God's design.
Okay. So
Right.
God needed us to be moving 1.2 million miles per hour. He needed us to have an 867,000 miles wide sun when we're only 8,000 miles in diameter. Makes
Okay,
sense.
so here we go. Oh, you're muted, by the way, Austin.
It's okay. You go ahead. I was gonna say,
All
well, I want to toss you something. I'm saying I respect the creationist heliocentrism way more, right? At least you can say, yeah, that's a crazy coincidence that the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, but it looks like it's just the same exact size that we can have total eclipses because it's also exactly 400 times further away, and that would have to be something like God. Like the heliocentric model is completely impossible without some type of design, but I just want to throw that out there. You do have an advantage over some of the other people you were invoking in your opener, but go ahead.
Awesome. All right, so guys, all this is it's a styrofoam ball. I stole one of my wife's Christmas ornaments. She let me styrofoam ball, and then I colored it with a Sharpie.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
so there's no manipulation or anything going on right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain something that's very important for everybody to understand when we talk about eclipses, which is moon phases. Okay, so this is very simple. This white side of the moon here is the side that is lit up. So from a geometric standpoint, with a single light source, a sphere can only be lit on half of it at one point in time. So if we look at this here, this side would be the side that the sun is lighting up. This would be the dark side of the moon, the side that the sun is not lighting up. Okay, so this is very important. Really quick, I just want to go through the phases here. So this is what we refer to as a full moon, which is when the side that's lit up is facing the earth. And then as we turn it here, when you see the half moon, it's because the side that's facing the earth, you can only see half the side that's lit. When we keep going, you're going to see your crescent moon there. Remember, this is just a straight line creating all of these shapes. There's your crescent moon. And then this is what we call a new moon. A new moon is when the opposite side of the moon to the earth is the one that's lit up, and the dark side is what's facing the earth. So not only do we have the dark
Oh
side,
my
we've got a
fucking
bright
God.
light, which is the sun over here, which is why we don't see a new moon. Okay, so that's very important. That's how the phases of the moon work on the globe model. Now
You're one eyeing us. I saw you. Wait. So the lunar eclipse on the globe, of course, is that the Earth is blocking the light from the sun, casting a shadow onto the moon.
right.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So go ahead.
Before we get into that, on the moon phases, real quick. I was curious. What is a full moon and what is a new moon on your model?
Good question, man.
Most causes
I think it's probably like a magnetic cycle, and just like the center of a ferrocell cell image of a magnet, it's just completely black. It's actually just pure inertia in the center, the ferrocell cell image of a magnet. I think that's what it is. It just actually goes into its inertial state, then charges back up, and once it becomes like etherically displaced again, you start to see it charge up throughout a cycle, and it goes back. Purely speculation. I don't know what the moon is at all. It's a very beautiful thing. The creator made the heavens so that you can't understand them, so that you have to acknowledge that he exists. But what I wanted to talk about is the falsification is independent of replacement things, right? Because I don't need to know what it is to know that your model is, well, provably not true. So if the earth is blocking the light from the sun, casting a shadow onto the moon during a lunar eclipse, then how is there an eclipse called the Selenilian eclipse?
Sure. Okay.
So, you've heard of the Selenilian?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Let's just make sure everyone knows, though. So it's where the sun and the moon are both above the earth during the eclipse, even though that would be a geometric impossibility.
And the worst part of it too is, yes, they're both above the horizon, which is, he's right, that's a geometric impossibility. But the shadow's going from the top of the moon down, man. Doesn't really fucking jive with how shit works. I heard, who did I hear say that? Was it Fight the Fat Ass? I think he said, oh, the shadow's refracted or some other stupid shit like that.
You just said is false.
Why?
And if you're okay, can we, so we don't confuse the audience, can we start with just a regular lunar eclipse before we go to a selenilian?
Why?
What do you mean? My audience understands you. Like you just explained that. I know you said it was very rudimentary, but everybody watching this knows exactly what the moon phases are, knows exactly what the eclipses are. So we are wasting time by just going through rudimentary things.
All I want to say is this. According to our model of the moon being a sphere, okay, and a full moon being the side that's lit and the new moon being the side that's dark, that means that a lunar eclipse would always be on a full moon, and a solar eclipse would always be on a new moon. That's what the globe model would predict. Are you guys willing to admit that that is always what happens?
That's what
we made the globe Earth model from the sky, brother.
Hold on. I just want you guys to admit that what I just said is true.
It's true, and it's what the globe model predicts, and it's what the flat Earth predicts, and it's what the Antikythera mechanism predicted, and what the Babylonians predicted with the flat Earth belief back 3,000
cycles with the
BC.
Chaldeans, 2,500 BC.
So yes, they all predict that because that's what it is. It's just cycles and predictions.
It's actually not even a prediction; it's a post-diction. Because
I was just about to say that. That's a post-diction. If something's a pattern, you're not predicting shit. You're just observing a pattern, you know? It's like seeing a car go down the road and say, I predict that car will be right there. Yeah, look, I'm right. Science. Fuck.
Because it just keeps happening over and over. We made the globe Earth model by looking at the cycle in the sky. It would have never even been put forth as possibly viable if it didn't match the sky, because we already knew what the sky does. So we made the globe from the sky. Now in 2024, people come around and say, hey, look, the globe matches the sky. That proves the globe is real. No, we made the globe from the sky. That's how we made the globe model. But again, your model has very specific geometric claims, one of which is that there's an alignment. What's it called? A syzygy?
Mm-hmm.
A syzygy, I think, of the three geometric spheres, right? Okay, but there's a geometric impossibility that can be observed. One happened in South Carolina when I stayed there.
What is that?
It's called the selenilian eclipse.
All right.
It's also referred to, but you didn't want to. You don't want to hear. Do you know?
I do want to.
I think that if you Google the 2017 selenilian eclipse, there's a lot of photographs of this, and the sun's way up in the air, and so is the moon. They're not on the horizon. The moon is not on the horizon. So this guy's just taking more Cliff's notes from McToon the Goon. There we go.
Talk about it.
Well, let's lay it out before you have your explanation. It's a geometric impossibility. It's called the impossible eclipse, and we did not call it that. That's just what it's called. First recorded in 1666, allegedly, and it is where the sun and the moon are both observed to be above the horizon during the lunar eclipse, which is impossible geometrically because the sun is, of course, going to have to be below the earth so that the earth can block the light up onto the moon and cast a shadow, right? So, good.
Okay, cool. So real quick, again, our model might be wrong, but we at least have a model. So our model is very simple.
Our model may be wrong, but at least we have a model.
I like that.
What the fuck?
I got you.
Our model may be wrong, but at least we have a model. We might not have the right criminal, but at least we convicted to somebody.
That's the same thing we've been here. They got a model every day.
Fuck. Wow.
And every single phase, you can see it. You can see the crescent, you can see the half moon, and you can see the new moon.
That's almost as good as what's his nuts that was on my Martin the other night. I said, how do you know that the weight is due to gravity? And he said, because it is. Well, there you go. That's great. This one right here. Our model might not be right, but at least we have one. Okay.
And so again, it might be wrong, but at least we have a model. Okay, you guys don't have a model on lunar phases. And when it comes to a lunar eclipse,
So he shows him
I've
one.
noticed you do this, Austin, and instead of dealing,
So he shows him one that's going to go ahead and it does the moon phases and everything. Of course, those aren't to scale, or you wouldn't be able to see them very well. They made the moon so you can see the phases that it's going to be going under, and its position is going to be accurate. The day and night, of course, according to day and time, is right spot on too. So there's a good little model for you that you just said doesn't exist. Now, like I just pointed out, the scale of this isn't correct, blah, 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 blah. But hey, at least we have a model, and it does show that aspect of it. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's full of shit. Again,
with the majority of lunar eclipses, which are impossible on the flat Earth model, you talk about the Selenelian eclipse, which I'm going to answer right now.
You know what a black swan is?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you made the claim that all swans are white, which would be you claiming that eclipses only work on a globe, right? Then I go and find one single black swan. It falsifies your claim that all swans are white. I only need one, first of all. Second of all, you're gonna have to back up the claim that it's impossible. Let's do that. Let's sell a Selenelian eclipse. You try to explain it, and then you're gonna have to explain to me how somehow eclipses are impossible on a flat Earth. I must be missing.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so the reason I'm saying that the lunar eclipse is impossible on a flat Earth is because
you assume that it's Earth's shadow going across the moon. That's why. That's why. It's an assumption. But if you paid any attention, if you measured the shadows and ran a ratio back to what we see during a lunar eclipse, then you would see that the shadow ratios are nowhere near what we see.
You don't have an explanation as to what it is. And the quote unquote impossible eclipse, you only used one word that was really accurate, which is that it's observed. The first time you described it, you said they're both above the horizon, which is false. The second time you described it, you said they're observed, which is accurate. There's a difference. There's a difference between where something physically is and where something is physically observed, right? If you look in a mirror, you can observe something, but that's not where it physically is. So do you agree that the Selenelian eclipse only happens on the horizon?
No.
Okay, you're wrong. And
No,
I want
we're not.
everybody that's watching to Google Selenelian eclipses and read about it, and they will read that it only happens at the horizon. So you are wrong, Austin.
What do you mean?
That is not
What's the
correct.
horizon?
We actually have video,
Yeah, we have
documented
video.
evidence that you can see the sun up above the horizon as well as the moon. Right now, yes, based on the cycles that they happen, it gets closer to when the sun is quote unquote setting. So you just say the claim. You're claiming that it's an illusion. The sun's not actually where we see it. It's actually below the Earth. It just looks like it's up above the Earth.
I haven't talked about that yet, but I am.
What you have to say.
Well, that's what you're saying.
Selenelians are only observed just before sunset or just after sunrise.
But that's
and
when
it's only when both bodies are just above the horizon. You're wrong.
That is not true.
That is true.
You can easily Google a video of it. There was one made in like 2012. The moon is way high in the sky. And in fact, it's even worse for you. The shadow comes from the top of the moon down, which is geometrically impossible. If the sun is going below the Earth, which is then casting a shadow up to the moon, then the shadow would come from the bottom up. So there is absolutely a video. I've seen it since 2016. The shadow comes from the top down. The guy's on a mountain. The moon is very high in the sky. It's a huge moon. And then he turns the camera around. You can see the sun. So
yeah, but
how
there's
does
no
the shadow come
yet.
from the top? How does the shadow come from the...
I think I've seen the same video, and there is no eclipse until it gets to the horizon.
The sun is above the horizon during the eclipse.
Barely.
Okay. How is the shadow coming
That's
from
my
the top?
point.
Your point is that you're claiming it is being refracted up. That's your argument.
Yeah.
You're saying that what we observe is not really there. You basically said, well, I said something wrong by saying that the sun and moon are above the horizon. Well, that's your claim. You're assuming your model's true and thus affirming the consequent, begging the question, reifying the model as if it's a real thing, and saying that has to be the case because I believe my model's true. And in order for my model not to be falsified, that has to be the case. But I'm asking you, how is the shadow coming from the top down, though?
Okay, so Austin, here's all I can tell you. This is all I know. And again, I'm not the expert here. All I know is that the Selenelian eclipse only happens when it's at the horizon. And so that tells me there's something going on with the atmosphere. And again, I know people like
That's because you're assuming that that's a shadow of the Earth going across the fucking moon. Again, it's an assumption, but we've already shown that that's geometrically impossible. So what are we going to do? We're going to make up fucking, oh, there's a magic trick happening with refraction and some other fucking bullshit. Come on, man.
like to talk about atmospheric refraction, which I don't fully understand, but the fact that those Selenelian eclipses only happen at that time and we never see a moon way up high in the sky with a Selenelian eclipse means there's something going on with the atmosphere. I don't know what it is, but I believe that is what's causing that.
I believe the
So
same
if
thing.
you're saying that there is, so if we do have a video of a Selenelian eclipse where the moon is up in the sky, then that would debunk the globe?
Yes, it would.
Okay, it exists. It was recorded in 2017.
Let's find it.
Okay, can someone in the chat please find
so.
the 2017 Selenelian eclipse video? You could probably just Google that. This is my real question. Let's just think about it together, bro. Instead of just using the cop out of I don't know, let's just think about it. If your model's true, we have the Earth here. I don't have spheres. I'm sorry. Oh, I do have some spheres over here. Do I need to grab them? I'm gonna grab the spheres, man. We got to talk about this, dude.
Can we put on the glasses though?
Actually have spheres now. This is great. Okay, we got 3 spheres. They're not different sizes. I'm sorry. Okay. So look, guys, we're going to go to physics class. Okay, even though it's not physics, it's scientism. Here's the Earth. Okay, and here is the sun. The sun is going to actually go down below the Earth. Now, actually, it's not. The Earth is moving. The Earth is moving while the sun's way out here. It just makes the sun look like it's moving. Okay, so we're gonna, for intents and purposes, we're gonna treat it like we actually observe it, but pretend it's the opposite in reality. So we have the Earth here, and we have the sun, and we have the moon. This is kind of difficult. We have the moon way up here in the sky. Okay, so as the sun comes down below the Earth in the middle, it casts a shadow up to the moon. So sun's going down, casts a shadow onto the moon here. Which means if you look at this geometric alignment, the shadow is going to come from the bottom of the moon up across its face as the sun gets further and further down below the Earth. Now we have something called the Selenelian eclipse, and it looks like the sun is actually up above the horizon at the same time. Actually, it's not. It's just an illusion. The sun is actually below the Earth, but refraction lifts it up so that we can predict it months and years in advance. Somehow we know what refraction will do, and it just looks like it's in the sky. Okay, I cannot be the glober and answer the question for why does the shadow not automatically come from the bottom of the moon and go up? Because if the sun's going below the Earth, and it's going to cast a shadow up to the moon, and it's going to come from the bottom across the face of the moon up. Video shows that the shadow comes from the top down, bro.
Okay, so again, I actually agree with you that the shadow goes the opposite direction on a Selenelian eclipse. What people are not going to realize that don't know anything about this is that a Selenelian eclipse is actually an experience of the observer. It's not a planetary event. So technically, every lunar eclipse has a Selenelian eclipse if you're standing in the right place. And so the reality is this optical illusion, however it is only happening when it's close to the horizon and the atmosphere is doing something. That's all I know. That's all I know.
No.
Not all Selenelians have them come from the top down, by the way. Just the one that we record in 2017 does. So you're basically saying something crazy's happened with refraction, but it's geometrically impossible. Even because this is refraction saying, yeah, the sun is below the Earth, but it looks like it's up above the Earth. And I understand you're saying that it happens when it's close to the horizon, so it only has to be lifted a little bit. And typically your model claims it cannot be lifted more than like half a degree because they can't even fudge the astronomical data more than that. Okay, so whatever, cool, I get that part. But that means whatever's actually happening, the actual alignment, we're going
It's also known as the impossible eclipse. They call it that.
to have an image and it's going to be projected up. That means
Oh, you fucking
the
got.
whole image is going to be refracted up, including where the shadow is coming from. The refraction can't change which direction the shadow comes from. The fact it comes from the top down is a geometric refutation of the sphere. So as a truther, I'm going to look at lunar eclipses like, this is fascinating. The creator really made this world something incredibly beautiful. And I'm going to say, look, here's a claim where people think they know more than the creator and think they've made a new creation story. And let me look at this guy. It's wrong. It doesn't work. You see what I'm saying? So will you at least look into the video and think about it? Like, why would the shadow come from the top down? Because we have to be open to our ideas being wrong, right?
For sure, I will. Hey, can we talk about solar eclipses?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we falsified the globe. I guess we'll just move on.
Let's
to
talk
the
about
solar eclipse.
let's talk about solar eclipses. So again, in the globe model, a solar eclipse is when the moon comes in between the sun and the earth. What is a solar eclipse on the flat earth model?
The same.
Austin, do you agree?
Well, it may not be exactly the same as far as which one.
I don't know. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, because there's some curious things that happen during some of the solar eclipses that just shouldn't be occurring. And we know that even the people that came up with the eclipse cycle, the table, the Soros table, believed that there were two dark objects that were only visible at these times, Raku and Yaku, Heiku and Raku, I believe. It seems like that's the right, but they were dark bodies. And there's some really interesting work being done. I think Sue Finelli is doing it, if I'm not mistaken, with using polarized lenses. So I'm sure she'll be ready for the April 8th alignment that's supposed to take place this year. So that'll be interesting. And I'm still on the fence if I'm going to go see it or not. So we'll see what happens.
One's in front of the other one, that kind of idea. But generally, we know that it happens when the moon is at new moon. Is that what you mean?
There's a Saros cycle of eclipses. You're asking like the actual cause. I don't even know what the sun and the moon are, bro. Because falsification is independent of replacement. I've already falsified your mind.
I'm not making an argument. I'm just asking what it is. So Austin,
I'm saying we just I don't know. It's just not what you said.
That's fine. Jaron seems to think that in the flat Earth model, a solar eclipse is when the moon comes in between the Earth and the sun. Do you agree?
That's just me. I said what I believe.
I know. I'm asking Austin if he agrees with you.
I think
sometimes.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that the moon's further than the sun, but we don't need to get into that.
Okay, cool.
It's like, do you know how to explain everything in the sky? If not, the Earth's a globe. No, it's not.
That's not what I'm doing. So let's just talk about solar eclipses for a second, because I think I'm going to make a really good point. You guys all know about the solar eclipse in the United States on April 8th this year?
Coming, yes.
Austin, do you know about it?
No.
Okay. There's a really big deal, which is a total solar eclipse. It's going to cross the United States on April 8th of this year. So my question for you, Austin, is that are you familiar with the term path of totality?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're predicting a path of totality, and it's very specific.
Yeah.
Do you believe that the path of totality prediction by the globe model will end up being right?
Yeah, probably pretty close.
Okay, and what is your understanding as to how they predict that path of totality specifically?
They probably run it through the spherical model, but we have a equivalent flat Earth one. We literally have an eclipse we already made one, an eclipse model that predicts the locations of the eclipses as well.
Well, and the Soros cycle had them. Soros cycle is what NASA uses, which is why they give all credit to eclipse predictions to Fred Espernak. They don't even claim to do the actual math themselves. They give it to one guy, and he follows the Soros cycle, which was around before the globe. So it's just observations.
Is your guys' model, which I've never heard of or seen, is it based off the Saros cycles?
Of course.
Yeah, of course, because everyone uses the Saros cycle because the eclipses are just a repeating cycle throughout all of history.
Which is a cycle developed by ancient Babylonians who were, by the way, flat fucking earthers, man.
Okay. I think you guys are a bit wrong on something.
We're gonna say it can't predict the location.
I'm gonna say that that a sorrow cycle, which I've looked into, it can only predict a solar eclipse within a few hours. It does not have very specific accuracy, and it definitely cannot show you a path of totality that only lasts minutes. It cannot.
Okay, so the Saros cycle definitely can be used for accuracy beyond 2 hours. We've already done it on a plain Earth. Done it on a plain Earth. We know what the eclipses are going to do when they're going to do it. Now, this is what actually happens. Whenever the eclipse isn't exactly where it's supposed to be, or the shadow is not the exact width it's supposed to be, no one even says anything. Like, oh, whatever. Like your shadows are like 70-mile wide in your paradigm. You have a 70-mile wide shadow cast on the Earth during an eclipse, right? So, what?
It sounds right.
That sounds insane to me. How does that work? But anyway, it doesn't work. Is the answer. It doesn't work. But anyway, you're saying, how could you predict the path of totality on a plane?
Yeah, I don't think I've never seen a model that can do that. And I do want to issue you a public challenge right now, not right now, but I want to issue a public challenge that you can do a future video. And it's this. I want you to use the sorrow cycles to show the exact location, time, and path of totality for the next total solar eclipse. And I don't believe you'll be able to do it.
Okay, that's what's up. Hey, Jaron, I'm gonna drop this picture right away.
Telegram?
If you don't mind.
In Telegram?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So you want we'll see. I mean,
cool. And then I want to do one more thing with solar eclipses.
But you agree though that the eclipse, we've already debunked your like, see how it's kind of frustrating.
It's okay. I'm having fun.
I mean, it's all good. It's all good, bro. I get that. I get it. It must be easy to be a globe earther. We just ignore the evidence that we don't like and talk about our mathematical models a lot.
All right. Well, I'm about to show you a model you've never seen. So I looked far and wide, and maybe I missed it, Austin and Jaron, but I could not find any flat Earth example where the eclipses were modeled on the flat Earth map.
Yeah, we have one.
So if you go, if you can look up,
this guy just keeps making statements that are wrong.
What it's going to be on April 8th, what it was in the past. And so I took the actual paths that both happened, solar eclipses on the Earth, and that will happen, and I mapped them on a flat Earth map because I could not find any flat earther that had done it, and I want to share it with you guys right now.
Sure. I think Flat Earth Test has done it. I'll have to check with them.
Cool. So let's take a look at this really quick because there's two things that stand out to me.
Well, let me share. Sorry, I wasn't sharing.
That's okay.
Oh God, this thing.
Okay.
This fucking thing.
What's that? Oh,
cool.
That's the wrong size. We'll go this way.
So again, these are past eclipses.
Oh, this is fucking crazy.
Of where they.
I want y'all to look at these ones out here, these yellow hook fucking things. Who in the fuck was there with a shadow on Antarctica, huh? Shadow over on Antarctica. What the fuck? And then went into retrograde? What in the fuck are you talking about? What, did the sun change direction or something on you?
They actually happen and of where we say they're going to happen, which again will be, I believe will be accurate. And I noticed two things. Isn't it weird that the southern eclipses are longer than the northern eclipses?
No, that ain't weird at all. They're traveling a further path.
Why would, on a flat Earth map, why would southern eclipses like this monster right here,
bigger arc?
Why are they longer in the south than they are in the north?
I don't know anything about this.
I don't know anything about it either.
Model.
That's okay. That's okay. And again, you guys are seeing this for the first time.
I think you just made that up, man.
Because in your model, an eclipse should not be longer in the south. If anything, it would be shorter because you guys say the sun moves faster in the south than it does in the north.
Oh, there's your answer. The sun moves faster, so the moon has a harder time catching it.
Exactly. That would make the eclipse shorter, Jaron.
No, it'd make it longer. The moon has a harder time catching the sun.
If the sun is moving faster,
Right.
Well, number one, the moon would never quote unquote catch the sun.
That's what it does.
No. An eclipse in your model or ours would be the sun passing up the moon.
Okay, I see what you're saying. If you're talking about
Okay,
going that
great.
way.
The second thing I noticed was retrograde. We have retrograde here in the
How the fuck you
2021
get
eclipse.
retrograde
We've
on?
got major retrograde here in the upcoming 2026 eclipse. I'm going to suggest right now that total solar eclipse retrograde is impossible on the flat Earth model.
Total,
I'm not like. Do we have
saying.
like some evidence of what these eclipses were doing in Antarctica?
Well, yeah. Well, okay. First of all, if you notice here, this retrograde, this would be able to be seen by the tip of South America.
But do you understand what retrograde is? If like the sky is moving one direction and then it goes past you, then it could look like it's moving the other direction, right? That's what retrograde is, right? Basically, if you were to look at Mars and see it go past the sun and then start coming back, right? It's just your.
I understand retrograde very, very little, but I do want to say that in your model, I believe retrograde would be impossible. And when I mapped out the total solar eclipse from 2021, it retrogrades. That's impossible on a flat Earth.
Wait, what retrogrades? The moon?
The eclipse, the shadow. These are the path of the shadow. If you look right here, April 8th, 2024, this is the path of that the shadow is going to make on the Earth in the total solar eclipse.
And so you're saying that the path on those big long ones is the path around Antarctica?
Yes, that's right. And then it retrogrades right here back to the tip of South America.
The shadow.
The shadow, yes. This is the path of the shadow.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
This is a problem.
Never seen anybody even bring that up. I'll look into it. I can't even imagine how that would work, but
that's fair. I'm just saying we have so much historical data of where total solar eclipses happened,
right?
Where the shadow was, and I was like, wait, has anybody ever mapped this on a flat Earth map to see what it looked like? Because I don't believe this is real. And once I did, it's like, wow.
Okay, so we're assuming the sun's actual position. My entire understanding my entire understanding is that they're apparent locations relative to your position in the observer. I mean, that's what it has to be on a plain Earth.
No,
since we've literally falsified the globe. You are assuming an actual position right now. You're drawing paths.
Correct. The shadow has a path on the Earth. Okay. It starts, it moves on a path, and then it stops. That is how a solar eclipse works. Okay. So these are the paths.
But that's why I asked you, do you have verification of the very ones you're invoking are in Antarctica? I'm asking for simple evidence of that being the case. Can you show me the shadow going across Antarctica? Are the only two examples you have in Antarctica?
Of the retrograde, yes, but
that's highly suspect, bro. I don't have.
That's what I'm saying, man. I ain't never heard of that fucking bullshit either.
Well, okay, just so you know, we can see solar eclipses from space.
You're invoking a shadow. Okay, now you're going to space, right? So
hold on.
Okay, actually, Jaron, can you do me a favor? Can you Google Antarctica from space for me? Because I want to see if we can see the shadow of the eclipses from space.
You cannot see anything.
Google Antarctica from space.
There's nothing there.
Hold on, just so we're not straw manning the Austin. I don't know if we have a picture or a video of a solar eclipse over Antarctica from space. All I said was we have seen solar eclipses from space, and I can show you that, and I plan on showing you that.
We have seen. Dude, you haven't seen shit. Somebody told you that they saw that, man. I don't know what these fucking people they want to glom onto. Like these are the accomplishment. You get this with white supremacy people, black supremacy people. You know, it's like, look what white people did. Well, those were other white people, not you. Okay? Stop claiming credit for shit that you didn't do. Based because you're same color skin as somebody else that did. That's fucking stupid.
That's tonight.
Okay, let me show you.
I haven't even seen Antarctica from space because every time I look it up, it's literally nothing.
I don't look real at all.
Quite literally.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, isn't it weird?
Yeah.
So look at this real quick.
I'm kind of. I feel like I'm being pretty fair here.
His fucking answer isn't that unfortunate. Instead of that is kind of strange. You know, no, too bad for you. I don't need to see it from space is basically what he's saying.
Here, you're claiming, look, I don't think this would work on the flat Earth. I'm like, Okay, can you provide evidence that that thing actually happens? Because coincidentally, they're both in Antarctica. And then first you said, but we can see the eclipse from out here. I'm like, yeah, but you're invoking the shadow, right? So you can't see the shadow from way out there. You're claiming it's in Antarctica. So like, do we have evidence of this? No. And then you said we can see eclipses from space, as if to imply that was a response that you would be able to see the shadow from space. But
it's possible that someone was in Antarctica during this eclipse. It's highly possible, and it's highly possible they saw it. So yes.
When you start bringing that in, especially when you're bringing in some proof like this, saying, oh, well, look at here's some fucking arrows and shit that I drew on this thing. And then it gets called into question as to how was that taken? Well, there could have been, there might have been, maybe a penguin recorded it, some other kind of stupid shit.
And track the whole path of it that you're invoking?
Well, what about this? Here's
this path is nonsense because you guys turn Antarctica into a giant circle, which it's not.
Well, hold on. So this sphere model here,
the point.
Show me how you said South America got hit twice. It retrograded. So here comes the shadow, and you show me how South America gets hit twice. It's on the shadow. Now it's gone. So how does it retrograde? Where did you make that up from?
I didn't make it up.
Well, you drew it on a map and showed that the thing curves around. But then that would require the shadow to go past Antarctica, past South America, and then come back and get it again.
The eclipses have been mapped out on a website called greatamericaneclipse.com. And I used the latitude and longitude on that map to create it on the flat Earth map. So it's obviously not going to be perfect, but it's as close as I could get.
Okay, but
how did the shadow come back though? So you're saying that the shadow retrogrades. I'm thinking in my mind, somehow you must have evidence of the shadow going past a certain location, then having to come back to that location. That's retrograde, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So how would you ever see that? How would you see it on a flat Earth? How could the shadow go past it and come back? You're claiming that's what it does.
He admits that there's no evidence.
I'm claiming it's impossible to happen. That's what I'm claiming.
In either way,
because the sun only goes one direction.
Yeah,
so.
you're showing a globe here,
right? And it doesn't show. So you're saying if I put this on a flat Earth, all of a sudden that shadow comes back?
Of course, there's no retrograde on a globe. I'm saying it happens when you map out using the latitude and longitude on a flat Earth map. That's where the retrograde occurs.
The shadow would then go backwards on a flat Earth map.
Yeah, yes, which is
what
impossible.
he's saying, and I just want to see that
there's no evidence of
thing to talk about. I feel like that's a pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that don't make a whole lot of fucking sense at all.
I'll send it to you guys. You guys can look into it. It's all good.
Yeah, I guarantee you, dude.
Probably got it hidden in his synagogue, in the basement, in a tunnel.
In Antarctica for the entire duration of an eclipse. Absolutely not even close. We can just use common sense here. How do we do that on the Earth? Well, people live everywhere. That's how we do it, right? People live here, people live there, and they're like, I was in a shadow, and then I was in a shadow. You can't do that in Antarctica, right? They're not letting you even freely and privately explore it at all, much less completely inhabit it. And then that's what I thought you were suggesting when you said we can see eclipses from space, as if, oh, well, a satellite was up there, which you would think this definitely exists, by the way. Like a satellite was up there and saw the eclipse's shadow go across Antarctica. That would be cool. But that's why I thought it was a hilarious time to plug.
Yeah.
Actually, just look at. Jaron, can we look at Antarctica from space? Because it's all cartoons.
Sure.
There is no video of an eclipse shadow.
I have a real eclipse from space. It's not over Antarctica, but I do have a real eclipse from space, which I'll show you tonight.
Yeah, that seems like we can agree though that this doesn't do anything. You're saying in theory, if this evidence was verified and did in fact exist, that you think it wouldn't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I think the flat Earth community should spend a little bit more time mapping out the path of the solar eclipse on.
Not one non-cartoon picture at all. I mean, every fucking thing they show you of Antarctica is just fake as shit, man.
Their map, and they're going to see some issues with it. That's all I'm saying. Because again, I don't think you guys would be able to explain why it's longer in the south. It should be the same or shorter.
I'm sorry, but I don't even think that this guy can. I don't think that this fucking guy could actually explain how it works in any sense whatsoever. I really don't. So what we'll do here, we're at 1:57, almost 2 hours. I'm going to cut it off here for tonight, and we'll resume again on the next show. We don't want to make this too long. And this guy's starting to hurt my fucking head. So unless something else better comes up, we'll come back and check this out on the next show. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out of here for now. So you know what we always like to say here. Yeah, this is the Lord loves a working man. Don't trust Whitey. See your doctor and fire him. Yeah, don't tolerate any bahooey, twiddle twaddle, or fuck knobbery. All right, so everybody have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your night, your morning, everything else. Be good, everybody. We'll see you next time on Sovereign Soul Unchained Mind. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We'll see you